No, it's 1,000, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's 1,000 to get full monetization. I think you get
I don't know.
super chats.
Okay, it might not be
Super
full, but I
chats.
think you can do like channel.
Super chats at 500. Yeah.
Yeah, and like channel memberships and stuff like that.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, the point is you don't get on the algorithm unless you're on that side of it. So where I've seen a lot of the people that do exactly the same thing as I do in Formula One get to 50, 60,000 within months because there are so many Formula One fans, of course. Our channel doesn't get pushed at all. So
Yeah.
we
So, so,
literally,
so how old is your channel, Simos?
I don't know. It goes back to, oof, I couldn't tell you, 2012 maybe, I
Oh,
guess.
okay.
I
I
mean, I've had my channel before that. I started in maybe 2009 or something like that.
okay.
But I
Yeah,
didn't. I never put anything online. I was always on Nadia's channel.
yeah. My channel was I says I joined in 2006.
Oh wow. Okay. Cool.
You've been
But
trolling a long time, Pamela.
yeah,
Yeah.
BBM.
I'm gonna have a look now because I can't actually remember.
Hello, Big Bad Mama.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody.
How are you?
Good to see you. I'm doing all right.
Big Bad Mama. What?
Hey, am I coming
We're
through
having
okay?
some. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, yep, yep.
Okay.
You look great. Your hair looks great.
Yeah.
Good job,
So
Simos.
if I go into my channel analytics, it says I have 482 subscribers.
Oh well.
There you go.
Is that on your YouTube Studio?
Yeah.
Ah,
So I think it's already discounted some of the soccer accounts, But that's cool. Your channel, 11 years old. My channel is. It says
We'll keep pushing it. So
that's all good. It's not. It's not. It's not that important, is it? Really? Is it?
it was my goal. It was my purpose this weekend. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
oh yeah. It does say 482 on the main page too.
Oh,
It
does it?
Oh
does.
wow.
Okay.
Oh, and that suck.
Yeah.
Well, if you're listening to this, go sub to Simos' channel, but not on a sock account.
Yes, and if there's a
Too late.
mod out there in chat, go
Yeah.
ahead, go ahead and put Simos's link out there. Yeah, but we'll get it.
Weird.
We'll get it. We'll get it. We'll get it. Real ones. I guess that you can't even cheat anymore. It sucks.
Yeah, that's also not true. But anyway,
I wonder.
I mean,
I wonder if they've already switched
yeah,
accounts
no.
already.
It says 250. It says Here we go. Let me just see.
Huh.
Lifetime.
Still says I'm subscribed on my alt accounts.
How many
So,
does it say now?
484.
Uh-huh.
485.
It was 501 earlier. Now it's taking them away.
It's all good. It's all good.
Oh well. And so you're gonna. We need to get him up there though before you get around Fabio tomorrow, so you can. Like I heard you say you was gonna rub that into Fabio.
Yeah. Well, he said to me, he said, "Oh yeah, it's a bad channel when they've got more videos than subs." And I was like, "Oh, I've got a long way to go before I get to that point because I just push out the videos like no tomorrow." But anyway, there you go.
wrench
It's
me.
fine. It's fine.
I actually
It's
have
fine.
more
As I
videos
said,
than yeah.
I've never done it for the money anyway, so. But yeah,
Well,
486. Thank you. I know that's you. That's doing that, Big
it's,
Bad Mama.
the topic tonight is should religions be mocked? Okay, and
Okay, good.
we do have at least one person on the panel that says no. Um, I think that we have to be careful not to mock people, but I think beliefs should not be exempt from being mocked. I think that we have a lot of people in this country who believe some really silly stuff, and I believe that like to not tell them that we think it's silly is just kind of like I don't know. I think that if you're gonna believe ridiculous stuff and like I mean we've got like all three of the Abrahamic death cults right now at war in the Middle East, and they could destroy the world. They've all got nuclear weapons, or at least two of them do, and and so I think that I think it's time that they maybe realize that maybe they believe some dumb shit. But now I'm gonna let each one of the panelists kind of say where they're at on this, and so I'll go to Phantom next. Phantom, what do you think?
I'm strongly that it should not be mocked.
Can you expound on that anywhere? Or
Oh, sure. I mean, I just thought we were just giving our position. Okay, so I think you can't separate, especially like core beliefs. You can't separate that from someone's identity. So if you mock a religion, you are mocking people, and doing that shuts down the conversation. It elicits a not a fear response, a defense response in the person. They look at you as an enemy now, and it also shuts it in your own mind. If you're mocking someone, it closes you off to possibilities that could be true, because unless you think you're 100% correct, you're wrong about something. And even if you do think you're 100% correct, you're wrong about something. And shutting down any avenue of investigation, in my opinion, is a mistake. But the biggest reason, and this ties back to its identity, a lot of atheists who are fine with mocking theists also say theists are brain damaged, or that it does things to the brain. Would you say it's okay to mock someone who's been brain damaged or someone who has a limp? I mean, I don't think that's right. That's disgusting. So that's where I'm sitting on it.
I would agree. I try not to ever say anything. I don't think that I don't think that it's a mental illness of any kind, and I don't think I became one IQ point smarter the day I stopped
Sure,
believing that.
I'm not. So I'm not talking to the people who don't say that, but there are definitely people who say it's brain
Yeah,
damage.
I believe that's. I believe that. I mean, first of all, that's like stigmatizing people with mental health issues too. So like we shouldn't do that. And I do see a lot of that, and I don't think that's like yeah. Like I said, I don't think we should mock the people at all anyway. I know that probably some of them take it personally, but if you're actually a person, the believer, then you definitely are participating in mocking somebody and not the beliefs.
Well,
What
I mean,
about
I
you?
just don't think you. I don't think when it's identity, you can't
Yeah,
not. I mean, you.
I see what you're
It's not
saying.
okay. It's not okay to knock. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I got you. I mean, I got you. But I'm saying a person who's mocking a person like that right there can't even hardly say that they were just mocking the beliefs. You know what I mean? Because they are mocking a person, and
Yeah.
you don't even you can't even use the you can't even argue that I wasn't mocking that person. I'm mocking the beliefs because you've lost that right there too already. All right, Gretchen, what about you? Are you with us still?
I'm having issues. You can't even
I
hear me,
see.
can you?
I can
No, we
hear
can hear
you.
you.
Oh,
We
you
can't
can
see
hear
you,
me?
but we can't see you, but I can hear you.
Oh, okay, cool. That works. I mean, I think it depends who you are and who you're talking to. But as far as I'm concerned, all religions can be mocked, and I don't think you have to stay away from mocking the people that believe it. Because I mean, they mock the crap out of everything. So I mean, it's kind of like a match energy situation, I guess, would be the best way to describe it. If someone's going to come at you, disingenuously, I know we were talking about the two wrongs don't make a right thing, but I mean, shit, I can't hear anything now. I need to leave and then come back because I can't hear anything going on.
Okay. Yeah. Go out and come back again. I'll let Samos. Samos, what do you think?
Okay, well, yeah, no, I'm very much on the side of mocking, and I'd go further. Ridicule is a perfectly usable tool in the fight against bad ideas. I stress it as being bad ideas rather than the person, of course, because I do agree that just mocking somebody, that's not an argument, that's just insulting. And if you think it is an argument, then that's a fallacy called an ad hom. So I don't agree with either of those. However, I would go as far as saying I don't mind insulting people who advocate that other people should embrace bad ideas, right? And there are many examples of this. I'm not just talking about religion as such. I'm also talking, obviously, about such bad ideas as, human rights violations like racism or genocide, right? Just to include things which are in the Bible. Or there are any number of bad ideas which are brought about through dogma, right? That's what makes me an anti-theist, is that I think dogma is inherently, I would say closed dogma is inherently something which needs to be ridiculed, because you cannot change it by reason, right? That's the very nature of dogma, and so you need to find some other course, and I find ridicule to be such a good to be such a course which is possible to break the spell of somebody's dogma, or at least religious dogma, or certainty dogma, or however dogma you want to say, presupposed dogma, etc., etc. So I'm perfectly prepared to use it. I don't use it as an argument against their position necessarily. I just use it as an argument against the type of inferences which get made by people who hold those beliefs. In which case, I am directly criticizing the person, and I'm not criticizing their beliefs in that sense. Right. So, yeah, I think if somebody is espousing bad ideas, racism, religious segregation, or religious discrimination, then I don't see any problem with ridicule or mockery at all. In fact, I see it as probably a necessary tool in the toolkit to make somebody see that their positions are just absurd, especially in a modern world where we have human rights to the degree we do. And I think that nothing is more demonstrable of that position than Christian nationalism at the moment in America.
No, thank you.
That's what I've got to say on that subject, I guess.
Gretchen, were you done? Did you want to finish saying anything else, or?
I was almost done. I mean, I was just gonna say, I think it also depends on what your goal is. I mean, if your goal is to, deconstruct the Christian world one person at a time, if that's your personal win, then yeah, mocking probably isn't gonna get you anywhere. But if, like, say I come from a different angle, it's not really important to me to try and deconstruct individual theists. I'm more in the build a platform for the atheists, and in that case, yeah, mocking theists is gonna actually help build your community, because at that point, I mean, that isn't that generally what church is and how all this got propagated in the first place? They built their community. We just haven't done that yet.
I agree with that. Thank you. And Big Bad Mama, where are you at on this subject?
I would say that if you've made an honest effort in talking to an individual that to try to teach them, say, in the science realm, and they make no good faith effort to try to understand the scientific position, I would say at that point they're open to mocking. And if you're first talking to somebody you've never talked to them before, then I don't think it's right to mock their belief systems. But if you're dealing with a person that's not honest and they're not even trying to learn your position, then I think it can be a useful tool. And, I would mock personally the lack of scientific facts in the Bible. And I wouldn't mock a God or a belief in a God, but I would definitely mock a person's literal interpretation of the Bible. That's where I stand.
Thank you. Well, and what brought this on is Tucker Carlson came out this week, and he was really condemning Christians for mocking Islam, and I got to thinking, like I see a lot of Christians who mock Islam. I mean, I don't know that that's all. That's of course that's all personal experience, stuff like that, right there. And I just want, I started thinking, is there any reason that Islam should be mocked and Christianity not mocked? No, because I kind of see both of them as having like non-demonstrable claims, and magical things. Of course, I think Islam may be a little more magical because you got the winged horse moon stuff and everything. But like, and the Mormons with their kind of stuff, and I think that we sometimes get in a habit of like seeing what we know as we don't see it as unreasonable as we do before. Once we get tolerant of it. So anyway, I got to thinking about. So he thinks that Christians should not mock Muslims, which I would tend to agree with that. I don't know. I think that when you believe something like based on no evidence, that you shouldn't mock other people for believing stuff based on no evidence. And I believe that it makes the chance that we've got a lot more religious war. We already got a problem with all of these three religions that worship the same God, but yet can't even get along with each other. So, but I think that atheists are in a different position than Christians on this, and so I think that I do. I mean, I appreciate Phantom, and that's why Phantom gets along with. That's why Phantom is such a good representative to send to talk to people, because he can talk to people that maybe I can never to talk to. But I'm really like I'm getting so like to the point to where it's really hard not to, because of all the stuff that's going on in the world because of their beliefs, and just causing a lot of trouble and a lot of harm. But anyway, I was going to just play this. I've got a video, and then I've got one of Emmett Meadow that's talking about this too. But this is Tucker's views on Christians mocking Islam.
I mean, if you think about it, Christians have just as much right to mock Muslims as atheists do, though. I mean,
Yeah, I'm not saying whether it's okay. We're watching a show now.
Yeah, they also have the right to mock atheists. I mean, there's no, I don't see a problem with that. I've
It's
certainly been in enough debates where the passive aggressiveness is just seeping from Christians.
Well, I mean, everybody has freedom of speech, yes.
yeah.
I'm just saying, though, if you are a Christian, are your beliefs any less ridiculous than that of the Muslims?
But they don't think they're ridiculous, right?
to us, no.
I mean,
I don't think they are.
I mean, ridiculous. I mean, that's a difficult thing to compare and contrast because
Yeah.
they're from different periods in history.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that they're like they still believe stuff that, and with the same evidence. My
Yeah,
book says
There are some
and it's-
things, yeah, definitely. But I consider the Quran to be closer to factual or closer to reality than the Bible or the Old Testament is, right? And maybe Christianity as well, although, I'm not certain. The contradictions in the New
They all
Testament.
have magic thinking, right?
Yeah,
Well,
they're
there's
all
that,
garbage.
But there's also some thinking which tries to distance themselves from the magical thinking and put itself in a more modern based society, which obviously 700 years later, the society is slightly more modern, however more slightly that is, right? And then if you go to, I don't know, say 900 AD in the Muslim world, then it's positively advanced and further forward than Christianity. So, yeah, I don't know.
In our media, in the commentary of our politicians. Luckily, Tucker Carlson decided to push back against our own president's mocking of the Muslim faith. And you're about to hear what he had to say next. Take a look.
Just watch. Praise be to Allah. So obviously you're mocking the religion of Iran. Okay. If you seek a religious war, that's a good idea. But by the way, no decent person mocks other people's religions. To send out a tweet with the F word on Easter morning promising the murder of civilians and then saying praise be to Allah without explaining any of it, you are mocking me and every other Christian because we're Christians. Oh, I get it. We can't support that.
Tucker has come a long way. If you had told me, I don't know, in
Tucker's a tool.
No doubt.
And all he's doing there, he's not even going after Christians for mocking anybody or any. That bitch is setting up his own fucking presidential run. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
That's what fucking Tucker's doing.
He stands no chance.
You need to
Yeah,
chill,
I don't think
Tuckums.
I don't think Tucker's came anywhere. Like, I'm like you. I'm not fooled by his, like him and Marjorie Taylor Greene. The only reason why they're speaking out is that they hate Jews. Like, it's not about, but so they're, like Marjorie Taylor Greene spoke out against the war. Well, she's against spending our money overseas and she hates Jewish people. And, I like that she was against the war, but her reasoning for it leaves somewhat of something to be desired. But I don't think
She
I don't
also
trust
wants
Tucker.
the Epstein file. She wants the Epstein files released, which I think is a point in her favor. And in fact, that's why Trump turned against her, was that her stand on the Epstein files.
Yes, I do accept that one as a good faith position, and because those women and her and even Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace all were like persecuted sort of for having that position, but they were the women, and so I appreciate them standing up. However, I don't understand why they never did put the two and two together and figure out that Trump was part of the problem. I don't know. That seems like that took way too long, but yeah, I appreciate it. And Thomas Massey, who's actually from my state. I never get to brag on any of our elected officials here, so but it has not made him popular in the state of Kentucky either. I'll tell you that right now. But well,
Robin,
I just thought
the Tucker Carlson clip that you showed, he almost had more of a problem with that last line about Islam than he did about wiping out their civilization. Now, I know he had a problem with that too, but to me, that's the bigger issue of that message was, almost like a nuclear Holocaust threat.
He realizes that there's a really good chance. Well, I mean, there's a really good chance, and maybe Tucker probably doesn't realize this, but I would wish he would. Is that there's a good chance that he participated in bringing us to this stage of history right now, with his all the misinformation and division that he has caused within our society. With his lies and spewing his lies and everything, that he has made it more difficult for the American people, and he's helped put Trump in power, who is an absolute idiot. And I'm sure he probably doesn't recognize his part in it, but he should. I wish he would, because he is part of the problem and has been part of the problem for a very long time.
Well, yeah. I mean, MAGA was always going to die like this. It started back, in the Tea Party days. You know, the Tea Party was just always a ticking time bomb that was going to go off, and it was always going to kill MAGA. Because
Yeah, but
now
I just
all
don't
the
want
same people that built it all are the same ones that are attacking Trump. Even Tim Pool and even the younger generation of podcasters, they're all turning on him too. And
I mean, I
Yeah, but
hope
only
so.
after
Yeah.
you've
only
got
after
Fox News
getting
trying
him
to,
elected, you know.
yeah, after getting him elected, but now they're all turning on him. You got Fox News running their, you know, little
Well, I mean,
propaganda psyop bullshit, trying to pump up JD Vance like that's gonna do anything.
yeah.
Because, well, I mean, they all know Trump is just fucking deranged at this point. So,
But do you think
know,
that would they even be mad at him though? Really, most of them, if the gas wasn't real expensive right now. Like I feel like that is the that like some of them have turned on him because you know like Marjorie Taylor Greene turned on him because he attacked her and stuff like that. But like it seems like there's been a whole lot more of them come out in the last week or so because they're paying for gas. They hate gas. Like that is something that Americans like they just lose their minds over expensive gasoline. And
I think gas prices were just the last straw. I mean,
Okay.
he ran on no new wars. And then he
Yeah.
cried about not getting a peace prize. And so now he's going to just fuck it, go the other way. And he's done so much bad shit. You know, Epstein, he ran on, you know, releasing the Epstein files and then said, nah,
Yeah.
never mind. You know, it's like, it's just, I think this is just the last straw because the gas prices thing, that's not just going to affect gas prices. That's going to affect everything.
Yeah.
I mean, the last time we went into a recession, that was because oil hit $100 a barrel. We're over that now.
Yep.
And
All right.
you know, if it gets up to like 170 or something, it's going to take 4.5 years to return to normal.
Yep. All right. Well, I'll get it back to I'm getting on politics. It's real easy for us to get on politics. I'll just slide right off there every time. But, and
yeah,
what's
my bad. Sorry.
No, it wasn't your fault. What's interesting too is that I would say that I've never considered Trump a Christian. I know that I usually say that that's a self-identification thing, and I'm kind of glad that we don't have to count him on the atheist side. But it's weird that you know he is doing the mocking as someone who I would say absolutely probably does not. Is not a Christian. I don't think he believes any of it. I mean, he may
Mm-hmm.
not, but he's never been a Christian by any self.
He uses
No.
Christians, right?
Yeah, but he never identified as a Christian until he started getting this support.
Right. He's a hypocrite.
So, like,
yeah.
So, but he's the one. You know, he's the. I don't know. I don't know. And I'd say there's a lot of Christians who probably backed him on mocking Islam. You know what I mean? I don't know why he said
Oh, yeah,
crazy.
100%.
All I know.
All evangelical Baptists, presumably.
Yes, because you know my parents were probably
Catholics, fundamentalist Catholics, you know.
Yeah, there's a
He
lot
has
of them
that 20% that'll do whatever he says, you know.
That's why he appeals to the Christian nationalists. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
Sure of it.
Yeah.
Because he satisfies both of the different types of Christian nationalists, both the ethno nationalists and the civic nationalists, you know.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah,
to
he's just LARPing as a Christian, really. You know, I think he's one of those. I think he's one of those people that Taco likes to call lacktheists. You know, he just has absolutely no connection to any sort of religion whatsoever. But he's a manipulative piece of shit, and he just sees how he can use it to his own ends, and that's all he's doing.
Yeah, that's a slightly different use of the word lacktheist. But
Well,
I wouldn't. I'm not surprised you got it from Taco. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah, Taco, he the way he defines shit sometimes blows my fucking mind, but
Absolutely.
Yeah. He definitely has his own string of words and stuff. But all right, well, this is now we're gonna go into Hemant Meadow. I don't know if y'all know Hemant Meadow. If you don't, he's the friendly atheist. I love Hemant. I think he is a really good person. I think he brings the news to the atheists, like a whole bunch of stuff on Christian nationalists and attacks on the separation of church and state and any kind of like religious trauma. I think he's very I think he fits Phantom maybe ideal of being very like respectful. I don't think he is a mocker like as such. I mean, he does bring facts to stories, but he went on when he started his career. He went and went to a bunch of churches and he sold his soul is what it was. He sold his soul,
Yeah.
and he would attend these churches and stuff, and he got a lot of followers that way, and he does maybe mock some, but he's not bad about it. He is called the friendly atheist for a reason. So
He's called friendly atheist because it's branding.
Yeah, but I think he is.
Yeah.
I think he's far more friendly than a lot of atheists are. Definitely,
I would agree with that. I would agree
If you
with that.
set him beside Matt Dillahunty, he's definitely the friendly atheist.
I agree with Phantom here as well. I mean, back in the day, having the word atheist in your YouTube title, it was guaranteed views and subs.
Yeah, but he's definitely one of the friends. Like as far as well known ones. I mean, I think Seth is too. I think Seth is very.
Oh yeah,
Seth
Andrews.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Oh, Seth.
Yeah.
Andrew, yeah.
I think Seth can mock sometimes too, but I think that he generally goes at, like Big Mama said, when initial conversations happen, he goes at people with that respectful, and he gives them a chance. Eventually he will get where he mocks, but
yeah, there's a time and a place for it.
Yes,
and like I'm saying, I have very specific people in mind when I talk about ridicule and mocking. I'm talking about people who are, advocating for other people to take up these bad ideas.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about people who have the bad ideas, right? Maybe, but if they're not advocating or saying, oh look here, like I think I said this on a different channel earlier, on Robert's channel, in fact, I think it was. Look, it's anti-intellectualism and anti-education that I'm really motivated to defend, because I think those are the two things which hurt societies and hurt democracies the most. So, that's it. If somebody's standing up there going, let's just keep the masses stupid because they don't understand, then that's a problem. That's a problem. I want people to be educated so they can use their education and in terms of trying to affect the societies around them, so society improves. It comes down to that. That's why I'm against dogma. That's why I'm against theism. Why I'm an anti-theist, right? In the old sense of the word, not because I'm against people who believe. It's because I'm against this proliferation of dogma, which I just think is harmful. I mean, it's straight up harmful. And if you're out there, you've been indoctrinated by this dogma, like the Catholics, right? I'm not against you personally. I'm just against people who are proliferating it, right? So, the priests, the hierarchy in the church, those that come out as defending pedophile priests, for instance, right? Then I think they deserve ridicule. They deserve mockery, right? And because they're not going to change their mind just by trying to be reasonable with them.
Yeah, I've got to say it's, I think that it's made me have to think a lot about the Catholic, the religion. I mean, none of the other churches are exempt from that kind of stuff, but
not at all. Not at all.
But it seems that there was a very well documented, church-wide participation.
It's all over. It's in secular society. It's it's not exclusive to the thing. One of the things I learned a long time ago, actually, when I did some jury service on a particular case, on a paedophile case, is that because they're excluded from societies by the very nature of their own desire, they tend to group together. That's why institutionally, it's once you let one in the door, right? If that person then hides it and becomes influential in that institution, that you're letting others in because they know each other, right? So this is why it takes a long time to not just to build up a group like the Catholic Church had, where they could happily shift people around without being noticed because there were enough of them in there, but also and high enough up, more importantly, Ratzinger I'm thinking of, but also it's like a nepotism thing, right? That they'll get other people in. It takes a long time to get that network set up, and then conversely, it takes a long time to dismantle that network as well. So we still have a retinue of paedophile priests in the Catholic Church, for instance. They're still coming out.
Yes.
They still haven't got to the bottom of it, and we can't get to the bottom of it because the Vatican is untouchable.
Yes. I mean, like, the cardinal from Boston was taken over there and put in the Vatican, so he couldn't be extradited, so he couldn't be involved in any of the investigation. And I think that should have ruined our nation's relationship with the Vatican while they were doing that. I think we should have denounced.
Well, yeah, they shouldn't have let him get away. They shouldn't have let him get away. Full stop. They should have arrested him and put him in jail straight away.
Yeah, I agree.
Unbelievable bail because of the billions.
Why wouldn't they let him do it when we got guys like Epstein doing what they're doing?
Yeah, true.
We should get them all. And if anybody's not aware of the Catholic Church, you can go watch. What was the name of that movie? Oh shoot, I had the name of it just a minute ago.
By the way, while you're thinking about it, by the way, that guy, Boston Cardinal, he was then relocated to the Vatican for a while and then given a job in Africa to develop schools, Catholic schools.
Yeah, well, he was never actually. The thing about him is, I don't think he was ever charged with him actually. I know this is probably.
I think he was. Yes.
This is not an excuse, but I think he was. I don't think he was. Was he? He was just the one moving them.
I think he was. No, I think he was, okay. And I think he was the one. He had direct accusations from victims.
Okay, I didn't know that.
That's why they were so interested in him, but they didn't arrest him straight away.
Oh,
because obviously this is just an alleged thing because you've got to go through courts first before it's proven.
Spotlight.
And of course, the Catholic Church, paid off first, paid off the victims. Right?
Spotlight was the name of the movie. That's where you can watch it. It's a really good movie about how they caught them and brought it to light. So it was a really good movie. Of course, it's it's sort of a true to life thing. It's not the actual documentary or nothing, but I think they tried to adhere to it pretty close. But
and again, just to say, this happens across multiple religions. We've now found out there have been some Mormon, whatever they are, priests, vicars, who knows what the titles are, reverends, who knows, been accused of it. If there's been evangelical people, obviously, we know in previous things, like some of the evangelicals have got some very dubious sexual history, including
the Southern Baptist Convention actually had a large, it came out pretty large. I will say, the last time I checked on it, the Southern Baptist Convention had actually voted to put a third party group there to monitor the situation. And so at one time, some people who were on the secular side of it said that they were doing a pretty good job of like addressing it and trying to prevent it from happening anymore. But who knows what they've done? That was prior to this whole Trump era thing, and I'd say there's a good chance that the people that were supporting that probably got voted out. So who knows?
Yeah.
Did we lose Gretchen?
Looks like.
She was there a minute ago, but yeah.
She's having trouble, I guess. All right. Anyway, I was going to just see what Hemant says, because this is about. Let me stop sharing that. I got to share the other one. And this is Hemant is. Let's see. There she is back, I think. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, good. Let's hope so.
Okay.
How old is this?
Oh, this guy. I know this guy. Yeah.
Look how young he is. Look.
Atheist podcast. Recently did a show right here. Yes, we absolutely mock religion, but we do want to be careful about what deserve to be criticized. And mockery is a form of criticism. There are comedians like Jon Stewart and Bill Maher who have made careers out of mocking bad political ideas. But for some reason, a lot of people are hesitant to make fun of religion. Now, I understand that when it comes to, say, Islam, where mocking it could result in a death sentence, and it has for some people, but not all religions are like that, and even with those religions, we treat them with kid gloves. Why is that? Well, maybe part of it is because we understand that a lot of people build their lives around their religion, and if we're mocking their faith, it's pretty much equivalent to mocking who they are as people. I understand that thinking. It's commendable, really, that some people think like that they wouldn't want to make fun of religion because they don't want to make other people feel bad. But I don't think that alone should immunize religion from criticism. Sure, some people may not react very well to it, but a lot of people will. In fact, I think it provides a very useful way to get people to rethink their beliefs. When you straight up challenge someone's ideas, they get defensive. They will rationalize whatever position they hold, no matter how absurd it is. If you've ever seen a political interview, someone interviewing a senator or a president, you know what I mean. But if you can get people to laugh about the ideas they already hold, that's powerful. That will get them rethinking those beliefs in the future. You could make the argument that a comedian like George Carlin has done more to change more people's minds about religion than someone like Richard Dawkins. Because Carlin took those ideas that you had believed your entire life and made you realize how illogical they were, and he got you to laugh about it. The next time you thought about someone looking down on you from heaven or the Ten Commandments, it was hard not to think about what he said about it. Humor makes it easier to internalize criticism. Another reason I believe it's okay to mock religion is because it's an idea that people choose for themselves, and they can still change their minds about it. Religion, unlike your race or your looks, is something you have complete control over. So have at it. Religion's just one long setup waiting for a punchline. Now, I should mention a few caveats. Not everyone can.
Yeah,
What did you say? I heard Gretchen say something. I don't know about that.
Gretchen. Yeah, go ahead, Gretchen.
I said I don't know about that. Like, the religion is one thing you have control over, but I didn't for the first 20 years of my life.
Yeah, as an adult, I
mean,
would say, yeah, that definitely doesn't apply to children.
Yeah, but by the time you get to be an adult, if you're already fully indoctrinated,
yeah,
I mean, that's
it's
not
hard.
really
It
not
is
really
hard,
your
yeah.
choice anymore. It's just your,
yeah.
that's how your brain developed, and some people are just stuck in it for life because, and it's nothing that they did. It's just how they were raised.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
difficult, Gretchen, but this is what I'm saying about anti-intellectualism, right? Because if you thought, okay, no, actually, I need to reason this through, right, which is the intellectual position, then you might have been deconstructed sooner than you actually did, right? It's the acceptance of the dogma, right? The blind acceptance of dogma, which stops you reflecting and intellectualizing your belief systems.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, not everybody is even capable or interested in intellectualizing anything.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's my point.
I mean, a lot of people are just like, okay, cool. As long as there's chocolate in the world, fuck it. I'll believe whatever you tell me to believe, you know?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's the problem. That's a problem. That's
Yeah, it
you
is.
know that's a restriction on society, and that literally breeds segregation and bigotry.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Like where I was, I don't know where y'all's I was actually probably deconverted to mocking by my 14-year-old at that time daughter, who was 14. Of course, I had done left Christianity, but I had become a witch and was practicing witchcraft because I left Christianity over existence of evil. And like the thought, I never believed in hell, and so I saw those as ridiculous things to teach. And I just didn't see this God that everybody was always bragging about. So I was like, I believed in a higher power, but I just didn't believe that the Christians had the right one. So I left there, but I started practicing witchcraft and have been doing that. And my at the time 14-year-old daughter, who's now 20, was like, finally she like one day she was, shit, Mom, I can't believe, you know what I mean? And she was like, I can't believe you believe this stupid shit. And I was like, what? And she was like, she's like, she mocked me. I mean, she told me, she said, you're an idiot if you believe this, this is real. And that made me think. And that's when I started on my journey of getting rid of all of this, all the magical thinking that I could. And yeah, so my mocking did work, but I guess for my daughter, I probably took it a little different than what a lot of other people. Did any of y'all get mocked when you believed?
I get mocked for not
I never
believing.
believed.
No.
I
That's
never
right.
believed. But
Big Bad Mama.
I certainly went through a lot of mockery when I was going through my school years as a non-believer, and everybody around me was, trying to be a devout Christian as they could to please their parents. I didn't understand it at the time, I accept it more now, but
I never
and
got
look, I'm
mocked
not
at all.
against. I'm not against theists, right? That's not the point. I'm just against the conclusions or the implications or the inferences that are drawn from this. What I consider to be destructive ideology.
Mm-hmm.
I want
Yeah.
to see the world get better. I don't want to see it get worse, right? And one of the things that's changed in my lifetime, one of the main things that's changed in my lifetime, is accepting multicultural societies. Right? When I was a kid, England was still, a monoculture almost, despite the fact we'd been invaded by, enough nations that we should know better.
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
But no,
Yeah.
we were hanging on to monarchy like no belief, like no tomorrow, and that was
Yeah.
isolating, like white people in
Yeah,
our
I never
society.
Go ahead, Richie.
Go ahead,
I didn't
Christian. Go ahead,
actually
Christian.
start getting mocked until I became an atheist. That's when mocking started for me.
Does it bother you to
So
get
I
mocked
guess
as an
I'm
atheist?
I don't know.
Does it bother you though to be an atheist and get mocked?
It did it did it first. It did it first, but anymore. Now it's like battle scars, bad honor.
I like it.
I'm cool with it.
I like
You
it.
like getting mocked?
It was just rough at first because like
It's not-
I didn't deconstruct out of like being mocked or anything. It was I think I just sort of did it out of spite,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that like I mean, like they don't like to be mocked, but Christians, there's a lot of Christians who do like to mock us, which it don't
well, yeah.
bother
I
me
mean,
much either.
I got a lot of eye rolls as a kid because everyone at our First Assembly of Christ Church knew that my sisters and I were also going to the Mormon church because dad's family's Mormon, mom's family isn't. So people would be like, oh, but you do that Mormon shit, it's like, but that was the worst it got. They just sort of rolled their eyes at it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing
And
worse than inter factional faith
yeah,
like wars, right? I mean, yeah, that's why America started, really, isn't it?
yeah. And then I
Or
married
why
a
America
Catholic, and
won.
ironically, it was the Catholics that actually made me look into it all and decide which one I was. And turned out I was none of them.
Yeah,
there's
nothing would
a
deconvert you
whole
quicker.
lot of different beliefs. Seems like
I couldn't make sense of why, if there is any sort of God whatsoever, I couldn't make sense of why we have to do this proving ground test life here on Earth, and why this makes any fucking sense in a supernatural worldview. And 30 years later, I've still never had anybody give me a good reason for why life on Earth exists. Except accident. It's just whatever.
Yeah, although even
more than
accident is a bit of
accepting evolution.
a strong word.
Yeah, I get bonked more for accepting evolution than I do anything
Well,
else. Actually.
Yeah, but like when I say life on Earth, I mean it's why Earth exists. Why, it's like,
Yeah,
do I think Earth was
anything.
created on purpose? No. Do I think our galaxy was created on purpose? No. It's just things happened as they happened, and I don't think any sort of entity did it on purpose, because it makes no sense for them to do it on purpose.
I don't know. Depends
Especially
on what
if souls are real and eternal life is real, what the fuck is the point of this?
Yeah.
There's none. There's 0 point to it. So just make the best of what we got, which is, try not to be a dick, and worry about your own fucking house.
Yeah, I mean, I would kind of agree with that. Try not to be a dick unless it's funny.
I mean, sometimes
yeah.
it is pretty funny.
That's my rule.
Yeah. Okay.
I just want to point something out as well, which is like how long, I don't know how long I've known you, Fanta, but it's quite a while. I don't think we've ever had mockery between us, which at all. I mean,
I probably have done some mild
Yeah,
Jeez, he's
maybe-
mocked me
chat or
before.
whatever.
yeah, maybe ribbing, yeah. And the same with the freak as well. I don't think we've ever gone into some like thing where it's just rude mockery or ridicule. If you have an open mind as a theist, right, that's what I'm after. I'm just after
hell.
somebody saying I've got an open mind, right? I
I don't
could be
know.
wrong, and and therefore I'm willing to reflect on my worldview and take in new information to adjust as I see fit. That's all I'm
think
asking for a theist.
I can make an Olympic sport out of mocking the freak, but I mean, we have
Yeah,
a rapport,
okay.
so he serves it back too. So
Yeah, I don't think I'm talking about in a positive way. I think that this particular title here is in a negative way, right? And as I say, I'm defending negative use of mockery or absurdism just to show people that bad ideas, right, can be challenged in more than one way. You can
Okay, so
skin a cat by a different method.
that brings up a question for me. So would you consider a reductio ad absurdum? Is that mockery?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's a form of it, a very mild form of it. But I think
Okay. See, I do reductio sometimes, and
yeah, of course.
I think that's a useful tool.
But again, if you're using it as an argument, right?
Yeah.
Rather than an insult, Right? That's the difference. So you're criticizing someone's idea by using a reductor, right? You're not criticizing the person themselves. So that's fine.
Yeah, and it's usually just using the same method to come to an absurd conclusion is really what I'm doing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what a reductio is to take somebody's logic and form an absurd logical outcome and then show them that that's where their beliefs are headed if they want to believe that this is true.
Well, okay, then if you consider that mockery, I do think mockery is fine, or at times.
At least that form, anyway. Yeah, but again, like I'm saying, there's a distinction, right? That's not against an individual. That's against somebody's idea, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's argument, and that's a completely different thing. I'm pushing it slightly further and saying, no, hang on a minute. What are the consequences of having certain dogma, right? And that is bad for society, right? And so when somebody, an authority figure, pushes that forward, right, like a lot of evangelical apologists do, right, then I think under that circumstance you're justified to use ridicule, not just on the idea itself, but ridicule the person themselves for putting forward that idea so certainly or in such a certain manner. So, John,
Do you think it's important
I don't know.
if you've said something to an individual and you've led them to ridicule you? Do you think that that's a good thing?
Yeah, I mean, if they genuinely have that belief and can justify it, I've got no problem with being ridiculed. I mean, I speak to Jill all the time.
No, but what if they just ridicule? They're not using an argument; they're just ridiculing you. Don't you think that means that you've gotten to them somehow with what you said, and they don't really have a logical comeback, so they've been reduced to that?
Yeah, in some sense. Like I say, I talk to Jill all the time, and he constantly does that. He uses that as a defense mechanism. Like virtually every time we talk, in the end, he'll go to personal insults and mockery and taking what he thinks is a reductio ad absurdum and making it personal. So, all atheists are X, and saying basically you're an atheist, therefore you're X. And that's making it personal. So, but I don't care about that. I mean, that's just water off a duck's back in terms of because I don't take those viewpoints seriously. If you don't have a good argument against my argument, then yeah, you can insult me as much as you like, and I may insult you back. I mean,
but don't they take the reverse the same way? Like, you're gonna do a reductio on their arguments, on their ideas, their dogma, but the people that have that dogma, they internalize those ideas and they make it their whole damn personality. So in effect, yeah, they do feel like you're mocking them as a person just by tearing apart their ideas.
Yeah, and they do. They try and manipulate that to say, you called me stupid, for instance, right? No, I called your idea stupid, not you. So, and you can point that out to them, and they may deny it and come back. But that's fine. I don't mind. So you can call me stupid all day long if you want. That's I don't care. Whatever. It's just words. It means very little.
Okay, I'm back. I was letting y'all. I've set up some things. I was just gonna let us talk about it, but I've got some. And when we get done talking, I've got some atheist comedians that Seth Andrews had on. He made a stream a couple of years ago about this, and there's some pretty good comedians.
Before you do that, Robin, I need to head to bed. So
yeah, I was going to wait till we got done talking. Go ahead, Phantom. You talk for a minute.
I don't have anything to say. I think Simos did make some good points, and BBM did too. And like I did react to the topic based on some of the mocking I've been seeing a lot recently, and it's just very much vitriolic, and puts a bad taste in my mouth for all mockery. I think reductio ad absurdum is a valid tool and should be used. So
Yeah,
that's
again,
all.
What did you see,
under the
Phantom, if you
proviso-
don't mind me asking? What did you see to
Yeah, tell them about
the
Phantom. What you've
vitriolic?
been. Yeah.
I don't want to get into it. It's
Okay.
generalizations about the mental capacity of theists.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
I
Yeah, that's
completely
low.
agree with
I
the
mean-
Phantom here, right? That anybody, I mean, this used to be common in the atheist community as well. That they would some people, not very many, fortunately, but some people were trying to say, no, we should get religion added to the DSM-5. That's how bad it got at one point, right? And no, because somebody's been indoctrinated does not mean that they're mentally incapacitated. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
terrible argument for
They may
number
be.
one, anyway. Well, they may, but that's irrespective of the religious views they hold. Right?
Well,
Anybody can be
I
anybody.
I think religion can lead to a deeper psychosis in a person.
Sure, but
yeah,
so,
I
so,
mean-
so can atheism. So what?
Sure.
And
Dogma can. If you have such firm beliefs that you do not have an open mind on changing them, right? Then sure, that can lead to it.
I don't
And
know.
I've seen atheists can. I said yeah.
It
can
exacerbates
exacerbate
it.
yeah, it can, and we have one in our community that did that.
Yeah, we've got many in the community that
Probably, yeah. It would
Yeah.
I would be surprised.
both
it-
ways.
I like
You've had people
psychosis, but I
deconvert
think-
and then
You know, as humans, I think we'd see a lot of us.
could you repeat that? You broke up for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the brains work. We have we're pattern recognition machines. Oh, it's the way humans work. We're pattern recognition machines, and we're, just like any psychosis. I think religion just gives you something to focus towards. You know what I mean? Just like it could be anything.
Yeah,
It could
okay.
be fucking Star Wars. It could be atheism. It could be anything. If you're actually prone toward any sort of mental illness, religion just gives you something to hang it on. But I don't think it leads to it.
Yeah, no, I think it can lead to it. And again, I'm making a specific
So-
point about dogma and certainty. When you join those two things together, that just means your mind's closed. So that's a problem. That's a problem in society. Like Weinberg said, in order to make a good man do evil things, it takes religion. In my case, certain dogma.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, certainty is especially a dangerous thing because
Yeah, again, certainty on its own. It's having a certain dogma which is inflexible, right? And
Yeah.
especially when the dogmas are based in things which are unfalsifiable, there's a big problem because it means you cannot review those beliefs.
Yeah.
You can't change them once you get to that position, and that's when I think ridicule can be very important because that the one good thing in inverted commas about ridicule is that it gnaws away, right? Once you've heard it, that gnaws away at your own insecurities, right? And that your insecurities are the things that can overcome this deep-seated unjustified beliefs in things which are clearly can never be justified, right? So that's one of the things. Like you'll wake up in the middle of the night sometimes going, "Oh, I was ridiculed," and I feel the same thing when I get ridiculed, right? I go, "Oh man, I said such a dumb thing the other day. Oh my goodness," and I'll wake up and go, "Oh, I said that," or there's many examples, right? When you know, I was so starstruck by a girl that I'd met, right? And I just said something really fucking stupid, and then she just turned around and went, "Oh, fuck you," then, you know. And I wake up like 10 years later, going, "Oh, fucking, I said that stupid thing, didn't I?" And I really liked her, you know. So I mean, like, that's the power of it, right? You can't get rid of it. Once it's been said, it's been said.
Yeah.
I mean, Jim Bob ridicules me all the time, and
everybody. Yeah, he really.
I love it.
Yeah, like if you've got an open
Yeah.
mind, I don't think ridicule is going to get to you the same way. I just
No.
don't. Right? It's when you've got this certainty, this dogmatic certainty, which everything is black and white. There's no, there's no in between. Everything is either yes or no. That's when ridicule can hurt you, and that's when it can be used very effectively to people who have this kind of mindset of saying, "I'm right, you're wrong," because I've got no justification. That's just an illogical position to hold. And like I'm saying, it's anti-intellectual, right? So you can pass that down the generations. You can mock, they will then go on and mock people who are trying to do their best to have an open mind, who are trying to do their best to educate themselves, who are trying to do their best to learn every day, to be better people. That's why it's bad for society, because we need people to make sure that they are holding people around them to account, right, for having bad ideas. Anyway, maybe I'm getting a little too preachy now, so
I had like 2 theists this week make fun of my voice, like my accent.
Yeah, and nothing worse.
Well, it is a pretty funny accent.
I know. That's what I told him too. I said, if you think I sound funny, you should come to Kentucky. Like you'd be like in heaven all the time listening to that.
Look, your accent is absolutely nothing to do with your intelligence. I mean, it's just nothing to do with it. Like, take Joe, right? I mean, I haven't met a smarter guy for quite a while. Right?
Yeah,
Kentucky Joe. Yeah, I mean, he's such a smart kid. I mean, I say kid because I'm old. But he is such a smart guy, like I learned stuff from him when I listened to him.
Yes, he is. And I remember you got the
you got BS.
BS, Lou.
Hey guys, want to talk about the problem of evil?
Is that what you were talking to Jill about earlier?
That's just me mocking myself there.
Is that what you?
Ask me.
Is that what you were talking to Jill about earlier? BS?
I tried.
Yeah,
I did not want to stop talking about the.
Oh, I wish you would have kept going
Hammurabi.
with that. Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't affect Jill because he's quite happy to go. Yeah, God's evil. So fucking what?
Yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah, that's what people like when they assume that like Jill doesn't. He doesn't believe in that all-loving God, and so that just like you're wasting your time with the.
Yeah, you're wasting your time. That's why I'm quite happy to ridicule and mock Jill, not for being who he is, but for his ideas. I like Jill as a person. He's very amiable in terms of, yes, he's passive aggressive, but like that's water off a duck's back for me.
Yeah, me too.
I just want to talk to him so he'll say stupid shit. That's it.
Like bubblegum.
That's it.
I think BS.
Yeah, well, bubblegum is a bit different. I'll ridicule bubblegum because he advocates for stupid ideas in other people, right? He literally will misunderstand you in order to call you a racist, or when in fact it's different. He is literally such an arse licker. I've seen him in Discord servers just arse licking racists.
Yes, he's our little pet Nazi, but he thinks that Dalmatians, something about Dalmatians. He's got the craziest beliefs on Dalmatians. But I did hear BS Lewis say once during the stream today on it. He said, "Let him talk." Like he was talking about Jill. He said, "You told that one guy. You said, let him talk. Just let him talk."
Yeah. Like I was getting a little interrupty too. So I was just like, those two didn't seem like a good combo on stream.
Yeah. How are you, OE? I can't even talk.
Oh, I fell asleep. To be honest with you, I just woke up. I was like, "Oh fuck, did I miss the show?" So
No,
yeah,
you're all right.
I laid down
Uh,
for just a quick nap, and I just, man, fell asleep.
If y'all didn't see OE stream today, he had Dr. Richard Carrier on, and it was a really
Fantastic.
good conversation. And
Yeah.
so go back and watch that. Yeah.
Make sure you like the stream as well, so it gets more algorithm hits.
Yes.
And preferably
And
leave a comment as well. That would
yes,
be
big
also
comment.
very helpful. The more comments you get, the more the algorithm loves you. I would
So
love
what?
to hear. Sorry, BS. Can I just ask this question of OE? And only because I know your view on it. But I'd love to hear OE talk about should religion be mocked, because
Well,
I think you may have a different view.
before we get into that, I'm going to say goodnight.
Good night, Phantom. Thank you.
Thank you,
Good night,
Phantom. Good to
Phantom.
talk to you.
Good
Bye,
night,
Phantom.
Phantom.
Good to see you.
Yeah, that is actually a really good question because, man, I'm probably going to be the outsider here, but no, actually, I don't think that religion necessarily should be mocked. It really depends on what you're talking about, because I think there's, when you talk about religion, you're talking about a system of trying to understand the world that goes way back into history. And if we make fun of ourselves for that, it answers the tough questions. In philosophy, they ask the tough questions like, where do we come from? What are we doing here? And where are we going? And those are really important questions. And those questions are questions that we invest a lot of time and energy in. A lot of people do. Not everybody is thinking in those lines, but I think most people at one point or another wrestles with those three questions. Where do we come from? What are we doing here? And where are we going? And so to just start, when you say mocking religion, it really depends on what do you mean by that. Now, do I think religion it can be dangerous? Yes. Do I think it can be problematic? Absolutely. So I guess it just really depends on what you mean by mocking it. But that's like saying, should we mock ancient history or should we mock, ancient culture? I don't think we should mock any of those things. I think that we've learned a lot and we need to step away from a lot of those things. But this is like mocking our roots, is the roots of society and how we've developed into so many different things in life. Science came out of religious, concepts, so to speak. It's all evolved from that, because you cannot separate religion from society. Historically speaking, it can't be done. That's one of the things I did study in college. And you go back into ancient history, as far back into the written record as you can get, and society was already fully developed by the time we get cuneiform writing in Sumer, and religion was fully developed. A whole theology was a system of a pantheon of gods, a structure of morality. All these different things are fully developed. So we have to assume that both of those things go back, 10,000 years. But we have evidence of maybe different of organized building structures. So I just think that you're talking about something that's so tied to who we are that I'm just saying mocking it. I'm not, me personally, I'm not really comfortable with that type of terminology.
Caveat. What about religions mocking other religions?
That's what they do anyway. Should they be doing? Again, it gets to the same thing. And again, it depends on what you mean. Like, is it tongue in cheek? Like, should we? Are we allowed to make fun of anything? I think, yeah. I think anything's on the table for a joke. It should be.
My example would be like the Elijah story against the 400 whatever prophets of Baal, where he's sitting there. Where's your God? Is he sleeping? Where's your God? Is he taking a shit? Like, and they're saying that it's ancient mocking, but in that case, it's okay for religion to mock. So why can't religion also be the subject of mockery?
Well, it can be to a certain degree. Like I said, I think it's kind of a nuance. When I just hear mocking, I think it depends on what do we mean, because I think to a certain degree, anything we should be able to joke about anything, especially things that we know that have been problematic, right? And maybe everybody might not agree with that. Maybe people here do think there are some things that are taboo when it comes to comedy, but I'm more of a liberal. I think that when it comes to comedy, if you're not able to laugh at yourself, you know what I mean, and your what do they call it, like stereotypes, you know what I mean, in good jest and stuff like that. Like Dave Chappelle is really well known for this kind of, just ripping on anything. I think that we don't want to be so uptight and so sensitive that we don't want to make, good-hearted jokes about things. So again, what does it mean by mocking?
Yeah. Well, technically,
Around
that
for
joke still
billions of
stands
years
for us.
before we were. Sorry, BS. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that joke that Elijah was telling. It's still a good joke that atheists can use today, and they just don't like it when they're aimed at their God. When I say, "Where is your God, Christian? Is he taking a shit? Is he taking a nap?" And they're like, "That's not like," they get all cry face about it. But it's the same. It's the same exact joke that they revere in their holy books.
Yeah, and I think that the people do get too sensitive. I mean, even thinking about anything like that's not religion. Like, for example, I'm a white dude, and people would say, "Oh, white people can't dance, or white people can't jump, or something like this, right? We have no musical ability, or whatever it is." And you got to be able to laugh at that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It's understand where it's coming from, not be sensitive about those kind of things. So, but that's how I feel about it personally. Does that mean white people can't dance? I was just watching this guy named Vic White. And that guy's like almost as good as Michael Jackson. He is really smooth on the dance floor. You guys probably don't know what I'm talking about, but really talented. And so obviously there are some white people out there that can dance,
Well, you've named two of them.
He's got white hair than me.
I'm just mocking.
I can't believe you and I are the only two people that picked that up, Simon. That's crazy.
Oh, weren't we around though for billions of? Weren't we around for billions of years before we had religion? I mean, is religion really that much a part of an identity as people say it is? I mean, won't most people, even if they didn't have religion, practice the same, have the same morality as they do with the religion, just because of who they are as human beings?
Well, I believe in objective morality, so I don't think we do get morality from religion. I think religion tries to address this, but I believe morality is objective. But now, as far as evolution goes, I'm not the evolutionist, but my understanding is that anatomically correct Homo sapiens have only been around for about 200,000 to 300,000 years, not billions of years.
Homo sapiens.
Well,
Homo
I mean,
sapiens
we're
sapiens.
related to all the way back, through Australopithecus, through monkeys, mammals, reptiles, amphibians, fish. Our line goes all the way back. Single-celled organisms. So I would say that religion has only been. Wait a minute. Religion has only been with us a very short time in our history, and I just don't think it's as big a part of our individual identities as people paint it out to be.
I think that question is still under review or doubts, right? So, there's some evidence that Neanderthals may have had religion. Our personal journey, right? There's some evidence that religion goes back at least to 100,000 years in Homo sapiens. So
yeah, that's not that far though.
Neanderthals were no, but it's way before cuneiform writing. So it's not like that's religion.
What evidence is there that Neanderthals had religion?
I think there's some burials with grave goods,
yeah,
which are aesthetic goods, right? So there's some sentimentality there, and then presumably if they're burying these sentimental gifts, then presumably they believe that there is some use for those gifts in the afterlife, in an afterlife.
And so pretty serious. Taking it pretty seriously, because my understanding is when I've seen those from paleontology and archaeology, when they dig up those burial sites, when the Neanderthals and the early hominids and stuff like that, these early Homo sapiens were burying like tools and things of this nature, those supplies were very valuable. It's not like they just they have to make these axes or hatchets or these basic rudimentary tools. It took a lot of time and energy to produce those. It's not like they could just, mass produce this stuff. So they're giving some really valuable resources to a corpse to take into the ground if there's not intending it for some kind of afterlife. And we obviously have to read into this a little bit. We don't really know, but they're putting them in particular poses when they're burying them. It's really fascinating. There's actually quite a bit out there in archaeology about, and it does come from these burial sites. But what I was talking about was more when I'm thinking religion, because you're right. Obviously, there's the majority of through the majority of evolution, there's no religion. But I think this religion, what I'm talking about when I talk about these three questions, where do we come from? What are we doing here? Where are we going? This really comes from having what we call the hyperactive agency detection device. It's part of the brain development. So the brain has to develop to a certain point before we're actually like questioning these things at all. So that's once we start questioning these things, religion starts as animism. We're looking at the weather, the rustling in the bushes. We're trying to ascribe agency to these things. It's a natural function of the brain. Once it hits a certain evolutionary point of development, that's when the religious concepts even start, when we start to ascribe supernatural elements to what are natural phenomenon that we don't have answers for. So religion starts perfectly innocently. It's not meant to be like manipulative or controlling and stuff like that. That doesn't get up until much later, once these beliefs have already been kind of solidified, and we're teaching our children that the reason lightning comes down and because there's a God up there throwing the lightning and the rain, we have to worship this God because it's going to, bring down the rain or whatever it might be. It's something useful for our lives. It's important for our survival. Then the children are growing up believing this. The people in power, obviously at some point, like Marx and Voltaire and so many other people pointed out, religion's a very useful tool. You're going to want to get a lot of people to do some really bad shit. Religion is the greatest motivator to do that. It also causes people to self-police, right? Because if you think there's this guy up in the sky watching everything you do when nobody else is around, you're more likely to police your own behavior, so on and so forth. So it gets used to manipulate, in a manipulative sense, which is really unfortunate, because that's what's gotten us to where it is today, where it's affecting how people vote and how they treat gay people and everything else in life that's all fucked up that's tied to religion. But the actual core of it is very basic and goes right to the root of our biology. Like I said, with this agency that we want to ascribe to phenomenon that we don't understand. We see this in philosophy. I believe it's called the God of the gaps fallacy, right? We don't understand something, so they say God did it. We recognize that now as being fallacious, but that ties into how our mind works. We're so desperate to have an answer for things. We get so uncomfortable when we have to say, I don't know. So many of us do. That we just say God did it. It gives us a peace of mind. That's why when you press these believers, you say, well, how did God do it? They start to freak out all of a sudden, because now I have to deal with this again. I was so in my happy place when I just said God did it. Now you're saying, well, how did God do it? Then it just like overloads the computer.
Yeah, I'd slightly disagree with some of that, but go ahead, BS. Yeah,
I'd say this is where the mockery is actually very important, because it's not just a social single identity. Religion represents a group identity, but mockery is invoking shame, and shame is one of the few ways that society has to redirect and address the behavior of an individual within the society. And so it's actually probably one of the nicest ways, short of imprisonment or death or whatever else we have at our disposal as a society. If you can use shame to redirect the bad behavior of somebody, then that's probably a best case scenario than having to lock them up or violence or financial penalties or whatnot. And so, and then that's one of the biggest tools, because we don't need to be in law enforcement to use shame, right? Legally, like this is how a lot of social sway is done, by one side shaming another or one group shaming an individual. It's a control tactic, sure, but you're not going to have no control tactics in a society, because to have a functioning society, you have to have functioning members. And I think mockery is a important part of that because of the shame factor.
There is truth to what you're saying. I always get confused. I know in psychology they talk about there's guilt and there's shame. One of them is healthy and productive because it causes us to feel like we need to change our behavior. The other one is unhealthy because it causes us to carry this negative energy around that we become self-deprivation, right? And we don't want that.
Yeah, I think
That's
shame
guilt.
is a bad one. Yeah. Samos, you said you disagreed with some of what OE said. Did you?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I think that I agree with the agency part, but it developed a long time before religion. I think other primates share the same process, right? So it's I think that they call it in psychology type 1 errors, right? Where you believe something is there when it's not, effectively.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
And
just
that's like a
just
human,
one-
an evolved humanish. Yeah, that's an evolved trait which is there to protect humans. Right? It's better to run away from something that isn't there than run away from something that not run away from something that is there. So I think that that's the basis of it. And then the second thing is you said about, well, there's three things in all. So the second thing you said was about science. You know, obviously science as it's understood in the modern world is you know, was not in ancient history, right? At all. Right. In fact, you could. Some people would argue it's not there before the Greeks had general theories or general principles apply to specific ideas. I think you could also be generous to redefine science in the ancient world as just being the understanding of how to manipulate reality for benefit. In which case, you know, one would argue that just the use of fire itself is a science. So that would predate religion by quite a way. Probably.
Yeah, I would say that
Hang on, hang on.
really-
That's probably Homo erectus. First
No, go
came
ahead.
up with
Third one
that
anyway.
little idea.
Yeah, go ahead. I forgot you
Yeah,
said
so yeah, there was, so that's probably Homo erectus that came up with that idea. Now, whether you want to call that science or not, yeah, that's completely debatable, and it's certainly not science in the modern term of the word. But it certainly is scientia. It's certainly knowledge. And then the third thing was sorry, it's gone. I had something, but it's gone. Go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
Robin. That's all
Okay.
right. It's fine.
I argue that science, like science, when you say the word science, didn't exist before. You know, like they may have been doing experiments and stuff, but they weren't actually doing science until we developed that sort of that method. I think it
I
may
mean,
have
they were
been
doing
what
observations and maybe hypotheses. So they were doing maybe part of the scientific method, the first steps of the scientific method.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think you know, at least I don't know, maybe 300 BC or so, Aristotle, right? He announced something which potentially, maybe it wasn't him, but one of the Greeks came across the scientific method and stated it as a way to understand the real world, at least a process by which, and it's not modern science by any means. So don't
Yeah.
No, I
confuse
agree with
that.
everything for the most part with what you guys are saying. I think that it can all actually be kind of amalgamated together, and I'm speaking really loosely here. But I think when I say science, I'm certainly not talking about the modern scientific method. No, that's a modern idea that's fully developed. But I'm talking about science. I'm talking about a rudimentary, again, ascribing agency, trying to manipulate the world around us, right? Try to understand where things come from, how things work, you know, and stuff like that. That starts with religion, in my opinion, what we would call religion, because this is where the supernatural concepts start. And like I said, it starts with animism, it's observations of natural phenomenon like earthquakes and volcanoes and whatever. And then it develops into like totemism. And then you get different versions. You get like a pantheon, suddenly you get like polytheism, then henotheisms. Then you get way down the road, you get monotheistic ideas and stuff like that. But there's other ideas that predate monotheism that would be more like what we call deism, where the nature is God. In fact, Spinoza talks about this. He's like, and God and nature, right? He's like, there's no fundamental difference between what a God concept really is and what nature actually does, right? He had to be careful about his wording because he didn't want to get, you know, strung up or burned or whatever for being a heretic, right? But many say he was really the first atheist. Now, that's obviously not true, but you know, this is the same kind of concept of where these gods come from. So I think when we just think of science as trying to address the world around us at its beginning stages, like what Big Bad Mama said, just observation, hypothesis kind of concept of looking at things and we're observing them and then we're hypothesizing. This is the kind of, this science comes from this agency, the same place that these religions come from, is this agency device inside of our heads, in my opinion anyway. So I think they kind of develop hand in hand. And I think that, so I think that the same tools that caused us to develop the religion are the same tools that caused us to want to develop what ultimately became the scientific method. So I just don't think we should throw out the baby with the bathwater, I guess, is what I'm getting at there.
I don't know. I don't know. Like I say, I think the agency thing, absolutely right, but that's independent of religion. I mean, we had that before. I mean, we inherited that from, evolving out of a previous species, which got it from a previous species, which got it from a previous species. So that is a few million years old, right? At least. So I think that, to say that religion, right, or to identify that as religion, I think is incorrect. I'm not sure you're doing that exactly, but if that was the implication of what you were saying, then I would strongly disagree with it. Number one, and then number two, I would say, look, the modern idea of religion, only really evolved not with animism, I think, but the modern version of religion really evolved with what do they call it? Ancestor worship. Right. So I think that's where the gods took on not being nature, but being humans or persons. And I think that's the modern idea of religion. So that's that's whatever it is, 10,000 BC or.
But I
10,000
think that,
BC.
yeah, I think that belief in a higher power or something like that is a little bit different, or something beyond. We hear, I think, something else. I mean, like, we hear that a lot from.
But I'm specifically talking about personal gods, right?
Yeah, I know.
Like
That's what I'm saying.
like Aristotle said, if horses had gods, they'd paint them as horses.
Yes, exactly. The belief in those kind of beings, and belief in gods,
Maybe it was Plato.
are different. They're different. Yeah.
I feel like this is getting way into the meta of it. Like, so
We
to
love
bring
meta.
it back, yeah,
Mhm.
well, the overarching scheme. What if I tend to mock anybody for supernatural beliefs in general? So I'll put this to you guys: is it appropriate to mock an adult who still believes in Santa Claus?
Yeah, I mean, I said it was all appropriate to mock
His
religion.
belief in
Yes.
Santa Claus, maybe not mock him as a person.
If you're mocking his belief, I don't see much of a difference in it.
What's the difference?
Well, if you're saying you're an idiot,
Yeah, you have idiotic beliefs, you idiot. Like that's
well,
because
I mean,
at some
having
point that's
one
almost
idiotic-
good for him.
having one idiotic belief does not make him an idiot.
I know that's an overgeneralization. Like religious people, I don't think they're dumb, but I think they are dumb in the area of critical thinking. But they're not dumb in math and
Yeah, I'd
science
agree
and a
with you
lot of
there.
different things. And so they are severely lacking, and it's shorthand to say you're being dumb or you're being an idiot, when I really just mean like you need to sharpen up those critical thinking skills, And that would be the same as applied to the Santa Claus belief. Despite what every Christmas movie wants you to believe, because usually the person who doesn't believe in Santa Claus in the Christmas movies is the villain.
Yeah, exactly. I think that a lot of them use critical thinking, though, in other areas of their life very efficiently. Like, it just seems that applying it to their religious beliefs is where they stop applying that tool a lot.
And I don't see it much different than the Santa Claus thing.
Well, I think that we should make a slight distinction here. As somebody who has, some kind of mental issue, right? I don't think we're talking about that kind of person. We're talking about somebody that is, a grown adult and has full functioning reasoning.
Yeah, we expect them to be mature in their thought process.
Exactly. So we're not talking about somebody who has arrested development or whatever.
No, I don't think it's okay to mock like somebody like Wesley or something. I don't think it's all right.
I agree.
Well, that would be the same as mocking a child for believing in Santa Claus, essentially, that's why you don't mock children for believing it, because they're not there yet.
No, I don't mock them. I usually challenge them to a fight.
Oh my goodness. Gretchen, did you have anything you wanted to say? I know she hadn't been in here in a while, so
I've been here the whole time.
I know. Oh, I know, but you hadn't got to say anything. That's why I was wondering if you.
Yeah, it's because it kind of delved off into philosophy and all that. So, and
I'm sorry.
you know how much that interests me. It like doesn't at all.
Yeah, I don't understand the bigotry against philosophy. I don't know.
I don't think she said it was against. She was against philosophy. She just said it didn't interest her.
I'm not. Yeah, it just doesn't interest me
I was
because
just kidding.
it has no real world applications for my practical day to day life. It means nothing to me, And I went the social science behavior route in college, so I mean, you want to talk about brain structure and how, I think that the whole spirituality thing, it probably came more from, just humans' natural ability to avoid the fear response at all costs,
Yep.
And
no overactive imagination.
I mean, because what's
I think
stronger,
it is a fear
really?
response. I think it is a fear
Yeah,
response.
I mean,
That's the
I
point
think it
that
came more
OE's
from that than
making as well, I think.
trying to make
And I would
sense
agree.
of what's up there.
But to speak to OE's, we should respect
Yeah,
gay
I
religion
think
because
religion.
of the deep
I
roots
think
it
it was
has.
eventually a result of self-soothing.
Yeah. No, what BS?
Yeah, I agree with that, Gretchen. Yeah.
When OE's saying that,
What was
it's
that?
respecting the deep beliefs of the ancient stuff of the religions. I don't see it any different than respecting the modern day Santa Claus believer, because the tradition of Christmas and Santa Claus is really old. It's rooted in, like, science is rooted in magic because alchemy leads to chemistry, et cetera, but anybody who's still practicing alchemy in the modern age should be mocked because we've moved on as a society. We've grown up, so to say. And so we should be mocking adults who are acting like functional children in society, and they think that they should be like pat on the back for it.
Yeah, you would say that, BS. That's because you're a Scorpio.
Exactly.
Are you a Scorpio, BS?
No, I'm
At
not.
the same page as BS
Oh.
with this one.
1 in 12. I guessed. So what?
Can y'all guess mine? My sign?
I'm
my
totally
sign?
on
Yeah,
the
of
same
course I can
page as
guess it.
BS.
What is it?
Totally.
I don't know what it is, but I can guess it.
Yeah, you can guess it. Go ahead and guess.
Oh, I would guess. I'm just trying. What's another one other than Scorpio, BS?
I would say that mine. I think mine is just really accurate. Of course, that it seems like they always are, but I think mine's really accurate.
Someone name another one for
Oh,
me.
Leo?
Gemini.
For fuck's
Gemini.
Oh,
sake,
Gemini.
I
There
was-
you go. Yeah.
I'm a Taurus.
wow. And I
Oh,
think
yeah, that makes
astrology
total
should be
sense,
right
yeah.
up there with Santa Claus, and it should all be mocked.
Yeah, and alchemy.
Me and Gretchen got to go against an astrology person the other day. So, yeah.
Well, I think there is truth in what everybody
I
here
mean-
is saying, and I could absolutely relate to it. I think the one pushback I would say is that when we talk about, well, we would mock the adult for believing in Santa Claus, but we wouldn't mock the adult with a learning disability for believing in Santa Claus, because just like we wouldn't mock a child. I see religion. I don't mean to be condescending when I say this, but I see religion as being the same thing. I don't think that most adults, frankly, have developed the ability to think critically, and I think that it ties into
snap.
really serious. I know. I think it does tie into some really serious
Whoa.
Zinger.
problems
Whoa.
with the ability
They're
to,
all
like,
little
talk about the
babies.
fear thing. So you've got indoctrination. So I believe people are religious for a very few reasons, right? They're either indoctrinated into it, generally when they're a child, which kind of makes them a little bit innocent in that regard. The other way they get indoctrinated into it is when they experience, as an adult, is oftentimes when they experience something really tragic. Like, I know an adult, a particular adult couple that wasn't religious. They lost their daughter in a terrible accident, right? And they turned to religion because they didn't have to deal with this trauma. The other reason that people turn to religion is because of fear of death and the afterlife, right? So it helps you soothe that fear. Now, there are malicious reasons that people turn to religion. It's a great moneymaker, right? Faith healers and all this other bullshit. So there are some nefarious reasons, but I think the majority of people that are religious are there because of something really innocent that we should be empathetic to. When if it's someone's indoctrinated as a child to believe something, and we have to remember that most people who are religious are brought up in religious communities that are reinforcing these beliefs. When you take those beliefs away from somebody, you're shattering, however many years or decades of their life and what they built their entire life around.
Their identity, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that should be taken more seriously. This is why I really don't get into the is God real beliefs with people on my channel and stuff. I really just don't get into those arguments, because I'm very sympathetic to the fact that, somebody asked me one time, they said, if you could just snap your fingers, would you get rid of all religion? Right. And I said, no. And the reason is because it would leave a major vacuum in 92% of 8.5 billion people's lives. What are you replacing that with? Right. That's very dangerous. And I've seen it happen where people leave religion and they go way off the deep end, which is where.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I just think that's why when I say mocking people for these things, I think we need to be sympathetic to why they're even thinking that way in the first place. Because to me, the idea seems so silly. I've never been a religious person. It's never made sense to me. Hell, heaven, global floods, none of this shit makes any sense if you actually read the stories at face value. And it is completely silly. Of course it is. But I can see it for what it is. I have friends. In fact, I have a friend of mine who's a dear friend. He's in his late 70s at this point, and he has told me, I don't care if it's true or not. I'm going to believe it. Even if you give me all the evidence in the world, I don't care. And he literally doesn't. And it's because, and I understand when he said that to me at first, I thought, what an idiot. But then I had to step back from the situation and think about who I'm talking to. He grew up in a very religious family, in a very religious town, and he surrounds himself in a very religious community. And literally, that would shatter him in his 70s. It would completely shatter him.
Yeah.
Now, I think, excuse me, I think we do need to make efforts to slowly kind of pull people away from this stuff by encouraging and instructing, teaching people how to think critically. But the biggest thing we need to do, which is what I talk about all the time and on my channel is built around, is respect, empathy, and morality. Whether you want to call it objective or subjective, we don't have to get into that right now, but learning how to live a moral life, a virtuous life, without believing there's some guy up in the sky that throws lightning bolts at people who have somebody locked in their basement. That's not why you need to avoid locking people in your basement. You got to understand, humanity and humanism and all these other reasons why we don't lock people in our basement, right? We've got to replace those unfounded fears with something tangible that people can not only latch onto, excuse me, but apply to their own lives and make them better people and build better communities. So that's why the mockery, I think, gets a little dangerous.
Okay, so I it used to be a question going around the community about the button, and I agree with you. I wouldn't press the button. People have to come to deconversion willingly, otherwise it's not a deconversion. And one of the main reasons I say that is because I've seen people deconvert, and almost without exception, they go through some quite negative phases before they acclimatize themselves to having this sense of I'll get to the reasons in a minute, but they go through a very angry and militant atheist phase where they're really angry about having been indoctrinated, right? And they find a great sense of disgust within themselves, letting themselves go through that process. That's a very difficult thing to get through, as I understand it. But like anybody, I think there's 3 of us here, maybe 4, I don't know, that have never believed, right? And the one thing we had to go through, I guess, and I guess you've been through it, which is answering the question of nihilism, right? And being afraid of death. Now, as far as I can tell, once you answer that question yourself, right, as an atheist, you don't fear it anymore. It's just being dead is not a fear, right? We don't give a second thought to just having no afterlife, right? Because it's not even on the radar, right? So, and we know we're not going to suffer, right? And that's the issue, right? That's the problem with dogma, uncertainty of dogma, is because these monotheistic religions really put forward a fear into people that there is something there to be scared about, and it stops them answering the question of nihilism. They just don't even consider it, right? And they often get over it. Like I've heard many parents say, "Well, I'm just going to buy my young infant or young man, well, young kid, a pet, and then once the pet dies, right, they're emotionally attached and they'll have to grieve, and then they'll understand grieving, right? Well, we don't have the same thing, right? We don't have the same access to someone saying, "Oh, it's okay, your pet's gone to heaven," and that will stop them crying. That's what indoctrinates, and that's the kind of manipulation, mental manipulation that we do to children in order to get them to accept things which they're never going to understand. Because that isn't an answer to nihilism. That's not an answer to the fear of death, right? Saying there's an afterlife. Because it doesn't stop you grieving. It has nothing to do with the state that you go through.
Yeah.
So
I do
this is one
find
of the
that
reasons why I'm an anti-theist. Another reason. Go
I
ahead.
do find a lot of people that are just basically afraid of death, and they don't even want to tangle with nihilism, is that they don't even really understand it. I mean, a lot of them automatically go to, okay, well, I should just be a nihilist then, and then I can just commit crimes and hurt people all the time. And
Yeah, that's another false doctrine put about by Dostoevsky or
yeah,
Nietzsche, right? No, that's not what nihilism is.
no, it's not. But that's the general
Yeah,
kind of theist
that's the way
understanding of what it is.
theists do. Yeah.
Yeah, and they do. Some people say, well, if I didn't have God in my life, I'd be hurting people all the time. It's like, well, so you're just a piece of shit then. I mean,
Yeah, basically, that's why I think OE and I both agree we wouldn't press the button.
Exactly. I say that you better. I better see you in church on Sunday.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, there's two elements to that too, and I've seen both of this firsthand. So I used to work in the adult industry, and so not everybody goes through this process, but I have worked with a number of adult entertainers, strippers, and porn stars who grew up in very religious households, very strict religious households. And when they broke themselves free from that religion, the very first thing they did was did everything their mommy and daddy told them not to do. Now, this is typical behavior of a teenager in general. However, because most households are religious, when you, like I said, gives them this motivation to just go crazy. And this, I think, it's unfortunate because one, they throw their lives away on a lot of stupid shit, and drugs and alcohol included. Because once you get started in dabbling in some of that stuff, it's such a slippery slope. It takes you before you really, to experiment with some things is just such a bad idea. The other issue that I see one of the directions that people go when you talk about the nihilism, the misunderstanding of nihilism, is they go into groups that are anti-natalist, and then sometimes even further into groups that are ethilists. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with either of those terms or not, but in both situations, it is very, very dangerous, especially once you get to ephilism, because ephilism is like the secular view that we should just basically blow everything up, right? End all the suffering, because life is just suffering. So we'd be doing everybody a favor just by hitting the red button, so to speak. And that's very dangerous, obviously. So when the people abandon these beliefs, not everybody, thank God, but people do go to the extreme as a result, because now they just go crazy. It's like letting a kid into a candy store and saying, okay, well, you couldn't eat sweets your whole life. We're going to just give you the keys to the candy store. Have fun. Try not to get a stomach ache. Well, good luck with that,
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
One point I'd like to bring up pro mockery is the aspect of what Satanists call therapeutic blasphemy. Has anybody heard that?
No, but I can guess what it is. But please explain it.
Yeah.
The nuance.
Basically, if you mock the sacred, if it actually sinks into the person's psyche, it gives them the freedom to challenge the sacred belief. And so I use that in my deconversion tactics in my video all the time. Because it worked on me. If I can get someone to laugh at something that they're secretly doubting in their mind, but they're too afraid to question because of the sacredness of it, then you've actually opened the door to make that sacred belief and thought not have as much power over them.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah, for sure. That's
yeah. And so that's why a lot of the shocking behavior is done performatively out of the Satanic Temple, is because they believe in a doctrine of
yes,
the therapeutic blasphemy. It's confronting fear. It's almost like an immersion therapy type of thing, is immersing yourself so much in what you used to be afraid of, so you're not afraid of it anymore.
I didn't know it had a name, but I've been doing
Yeah,
that
that's
for years
interesting.
as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's yeah, they do that, and I think it's pretty
I'll
good.
show you
Like,
my best one. Go ahead.
go ahead,
No,
Sean.
Go ahead. It'd take me a while to get it sorted.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I think that like some of these things though have real they're having real effects on our society, and like we live in a country where we, by constitution, we have this freedom of religion, and so it kind of puts religion, you know, as far as the institutions, kind of in a safe place to where no matter how ridiculous their ideals are, they're protected. They're allowed to withhold medical treatment from their children. They're allowed to prevent people from having blood transfusions, vaccines, that kind of thing. Even though these are children who probably did not actually, not necessarily don't choose these beliefs, and it also, there's like cases of where it teaches like child abuse. Like there are certain evangelical systems that I don't know if they still do, but there for a long time though they taught a lot of really abusive tactic. Well, I mean, what's his name, Steven Anderson. Like it's come out that he was very abusive to his children and stuff, and it teaches them the fear of hell, which, as an ambassador for recovering from religion, I can tell you is something that a lot of adults never get over, even long after they lost belief in God, they will still like subconsciously have a fear in hell that will like cause them to have nightmares and stuff. And it's something that, I think teaching kids that hell exists is somewhat a form of child abuse to me. I mean, I'm not sure what we do about it, but I think it's abuse. I think it's child abuse. I think that it's very abusive, and it has long lasting effects on their psyches, which is one reason why I guess I was lucky, because I never did accept the existence of hell. I thought it was the stupidest fucking idea that I'd ever heard of. You know what I mean? And I was very fortunate, I think, that I had came to that conclusion a long time ago. So, but it's now teaching, that we're having an anti-science, anti-intellectualism because of these religious beliefs, because everything is protected under this umbrella of religion in this country, to where we're not allowed to question it. We're not allowed to push back against it, even though it goes against everything we know about reality right now. I mean, we can never be 100% correct, but we can always have better information, and we do have better information. And I think that we're allowing parents to raise children to where they don't even know like demonstrable facts that we know about reality right now. They're being taught that no, we're not apes, we're not, you know what I mean? And I understand that these ideals are hard for them to accept, but I came to the conclusion a long time ago that I wanted my kids to be smarter than me, which probably didn't take them like past first grade before they achieved that. But and so I don't understand the parents' desire to keep their children hid in this denial of information,
Fear.
because it protects the parents' religious beliefs. And I think it's a terrible, terrible thing to do to our children. And I think that as a society, we need to start discussing: are we somewhat enabling people to do this to their children, and do we owe the children anything beyond the parents? Like, are the children's future, is that more? Do we owe them something beyond the parents' right to believe crazy shit? So I don't know.
Yeah. The mockery is only going to hit if the person actually is having internal doubts about it. Like, you can mock Kenneth Hovind about creationism all day long. He doesn't have that internal doubt where he thinks it might be silly, where it might not hit. So, but that's the thing. We never know what people are doubting on what. So if you just shotgun approach it, you're gonna probably get somebody with something. My thing, you went to like hell as an example of a very scary one. I came from a Bible literalist, fundamentalist background with the 66 Protestant Bible. My big fear was reading a book outside of the Bible that was biblical, and so I had to like self-mock myself into being allowing myself to read the Book of Enoch, and I felt really dirty and scary because I was like, "That's not part of the 66," But that seems like a small little thing, but there's all these types of little and big things like hell and all that stuff. And you just never know what's going to resonate with somebody. But the mockery is going to get in there if the doubt's already there.
Well, I think that you guys are
Being
absolutely right.
raised on the
that
Bible
it
and the
is
Book of Mormon
dangerous.
at the same time.
Oof.
Oh my God,
Wild.
Gretchen.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it was. It was interesting.
Yeah, I
ahead,
think
Owen.
you're absolutely right.
But
It
in
is-
the end, they did
it
me
is
a favor
absolutely-
because I think being raised on both made it easier for me to deconstruct from the
Yeah,
whole thing.
Having two sets of contradictions that contradict each other.
Yeah. Well, exactly. After I got the courage to read the Book of Enoch, so you couldn't stop me from reading extra biblical literature. So I went and I read Barnabas, I read the Gospel of Thomas, the Infancy Narrative. I started going crazy because I wanted the whole lore of it, and then that ultimately like confused the shit out of me. And I'm like, this is all fake,
Yeah. It's either some of
Same.
it's fake or it's all fake. I guess which is easier.
See, I think BS. I think you mock religion in a way that is palatable, probably. Like I
Humorous,
guess I'm not a religious
I'd like to
person,
think.
but I don't see you as like it. It doesn't seem like to me that you are like taking aim at like individuals, and I don't know. Maybe I just am a little biased on what I think about your videos, but I think you do a good job, and I think Big Bad Mama does too. I think
it's because the fart and the dick is the universal joke that everybody can laugh at, and so I throw as many farts and dicks in there as I possibly can.
Yes, and foreheads and stuff.
Yeah, that was targeted.
I just want to share something with you guys because this is an old thing. I mean, I did this 10 years ago or something, but we were doing something on the Shroud of Turin. I did a comedy, basically a comedy program that came after Talking Shit Tuesday, if anybody remembers that. But we were doing something on the Shroud of Turin, and I always had a little piece that I would prepare, right? So I thought, well, how can I mock the Shroud of Turin, right? So I said, oh, actually, yeah, no, I went to Turin once, and I went and saw the shrouds, obviously, in the cathedral, Turin Cathedral, and it was amazing. In fact, after I saw it, I went round the back to have a cigarette, and I met a guy selling the napkin of Turin. And look, I brought it with me, right? So you have to use your imaginations at this point. A, that it's on a napkin, and B, understanding the joke. Let me just try and do this. I don't know whether it will focus or not, but yeah. So that was I drew that on a napkin. I went, yeah, look, that's the napkin, and you can tell it's Jesus because the cross is on it still. There you go, debunked.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if y'all know Toronto Bible Study that comes on Taco's channel sometimes. Okay, Tacos makes these little like songs, for everybody and stuff. And so he had this one where he had TBS like standing up there, and TBS's icon has like some crosses in the background. And so Tacos made it to where TBS was twerking on the screen, and TBS got very upset over it because of the crosses. He said it was disrespectful because there you go. It was like it caused a big thing. Which Tacos did say when he played it that night, and Gretchen knows this. He said if TBS doesn't like this, I'll delete it. But instead of just take it down, I don't like it. TBS threw a little temper tantrum, and so I think Tacos is not really all that worried about whether he likes it. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
of
it,
course not. Who cares, right?
yeah,
I mean, of all the people that fit this definition that I'm using anyway, that need to be ridiculed and mocked, he's one of them. He's dogmatic. He's certain of his dogma, and he uses it to beat people over the head with. Right there you go. I mean, yeah, sure. Of course, we're going to ridicule him.
that's
That
how I feel about Brandon that
goes
comes
without
on.
saying.
Yeah.
Brandon. Yeah, that name rings a bell.
Oh, yeah.
Irish.
I mean, there's
Yeah,
a lot
Brandon
of
Irish. Yes, I think Brandon. Yeah. Like, oh.
yeah. There's a lot of them, and like I grew up in a time when there's a fantastic comedian called Dave Allen who's Irish comedian,
But
and
we're gonna play him here in a little bit.
oh, okay, fantastic. Yeah, well, he mocks Catholicism like there's no tomorrow,
Yeah.
and it's he doesn't necessarily. It's funny because he was an open atheist in a time when there weren't many, and it's funny because but it's not funny in the sense that it's an unexpected joke, right? It's just funny because because it's true. The criticism is true. That's why it's funny, right?
Yes.
Not because it's unexpected. And that hurts, right? That hurts people of religion because if they laugh at it, they're recognizing that it's true, right? So, like his famous sketch with Adam and Eve,
Yeah.
about Adam and Eve, right? That's
I've got that one. I've got that one too. I've got all three.
yeah.
I've got 3 of them from him.
I don't know
Okay.
if I've ever seen Dave Allen.
He used to
Did
have a
you say-
weekly show on the BBC.
Yeah. Oh, did you have something you want to say? I know you was trying to get in there for a minute. Or
No, I agree with basically a lot of what everybody's saying to a certain degree. I mean, I think there is definitely room for humor in things. I think Ricky Gervais does a great job, especially when he talks about the flood narrative, for example. You can really poke a lot of fun at that story. So I think there is room for humor in things. Like I said, when we use the word mock, it's kind of like the guilt versus shame thing. One of them is useful, one of them is not. And so to be able to poke fun at things, to be able to have a sense of humor at things. Like I've spoken very highly of BS Lewis and your channel. I plug it all the time. Lots and lots and lots. I don't know how many of my shows you've caught, but I bring you up quite a bit because I think you do such a good job with the cartoons. And I think that's a great way of making fun of poking in it. I would call it harmless fun or innocent fun, if you will. And so maybe I'm just trying to use maybe different language for the same thing you guys are ultimately talking about. But so I do agree, because Robin touched on, how the harm that comes from religion, and we don't need to make this all about that, but that's absolutely right. It is harmful. This is why I don't really get into these arguments with theists, because what I found over the years of doing this is that ultimately, if you are good at making your arguments and know what you're talking about, then you can basically push the believer into one of two corners. You're either going to push them into cognitive dissonance, or you're going to push them into moral bankruptcy. And neither one of those is a pretty thing to see. To witness a human being start to justify contradictions and twist themselves into knots, or to listen to somebody say, "Well, it's the good kind of slavery," the fucking that kind of shit. I listen to.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So
exactly the point.
Kind of slavery. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, I do have some clips of like some atheist comedians. Seth Andrews. Did anybody else have anything they wanted to say though before we went and played the jokes?
You ever watch any Tim Minchin?
Yeah, I worship Tim Minchin.
I fucking think Tim Minchin is one of my absolute favorites. Love him.
There's one Carlin. There's a Carlin in here, and there's like 3 Dave Allens. There's there's a girl, and I can't think of what her name is. Kathleen Madigan. Yeah, it is. There's some of the best ones. Like Seth made this video a few years ago, and I just absolutely love it. But Dave Allen is one of my favorites. Yes, there are some very good stories. But
yeah, he set up. I mean, you got to remember this is like 50 years old, so the delivery is a bit different to how we expect it. It's not snappy. It's all patient build up.
Anybody else have anything?
Bionic Latino was trying to jump in here. Are you able to have more than 6 people on, Robin?
Yeah, I can have 10.
Because I think Bionic Latino was left a comment saying he was hoping to get on here. I don't know if you want to drop the link again.
Did I not pin the thing? I don't know. I thought I had it pinned. Okay. Bye, Big Bad Mama. Love you too.
Oh, you're off, are you? Okay.
Oh no, I thought I had it pinned up there somewhere. Is it not at the top of the chat? It says it's pinned.
If it is, they just have to get out of chat and go back in.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, or
I'm
they
gonna
just
start.
refresh the chat and the link should show up.
I'm gonna start playing this, and I'll let you in if you come in while we're doing this. This is a video by Seth Andrews. It's atheist comedians, and there's starts out with Carlin, and then it goes to Kathleen Madigan, and then we'll hear the Dave Allen, who is actually the best out of all of them, I think.
He loves you and he needs money. He always needs money. He's all powerful, all perfect, all knowing, and all wise. Somehow, just can't handle money.
Make the screen bigger.
Religion takes in billions of dollars. They pay no taxes, and they always need a little more.
Can you make it bigger?
There isn't any actual video to this.
Oh, okay. I thought that.
Okay, so like there is no video. It's just voice recordings.
Got
I mean,
it.
like I can make it bigger, but there's still gonna be anything on there.
That's fine. I didn't know. Never mind.
Now, you talk about a good bullshit story. Holy shit.
The legendary George Carlin. He died back in 2005, but you can still find a ton of his material on YouTube. His name is Dave Allen. He hosted the Dave Allen Show on the BBC from 1971 to 1986. His stuff was broadcast all around the world, including in the U.S., and he loved going after religion. Here's one of three clips from Dave Allen. He's talking Garden of Eden.
I am what you might call a practicing atheist. Atheist, because I think actually God likes atheists better. We never ask him for anything. We're not bothering him all the time saying, "Oh God, please help me, I want this thing." And as a practicing atheist, there's certain things that I travel around the world, and no matter where I go, somebody called Gideon leaves me this book to read. It's an Irish book because it says it all began at the beginning. There are certain things that, when I read the Bible, and I do read the Bible, that I find difficult to understand. I mean, if God has been there forever, what was he doing before he got to us? I mean, what was he out there doing? Was he sitting there going, bored today, what'll I do? I mean, suddenly from nowhere, he suddenly decided to create a world. I'll make a world, that's what. Make a world, yes, that's what I'll do. Rivers, seas, boom, mountains. Boom, everything's there. I want a garden. I'd like a nice garden. Whack, gardening. Hate gardening. Need a garden. Gardener, spit and dust. Adam. And Adam, never once says, where in the name of God did I come from? I mean, he's 40 years of age. He has no child, he has no recall. He doesn't say, how did I get here? But he's quite happy. He just kind of trundles around the garden, working away. And God is looking at him. And he sees that Adam is happy. I didn't put him there to be happy. I'll put a stop to that. And God, during the night, sneaks down like a thief and steals. Doesn't ask, doesn't request, steals it. His rib. And from his rib, he makes woman. And Adam wakes up in the morning, he's a real thickie. He's lying there, he's saying, and there's somebody else, he doesn't say, where did you come from? How the hell did you get here? Where did you get those lumps? goes out and goes gardening. And God comes down and has a conversation with Eve and tells her that she can eat of any fruit in the tree in the whole garden with the exception of one fruit tree. He's talking to a woman. He actually tells her not to eat of the fruit. And then when she says, which tree can I eat? He said, that one over there. He points it out to her. And when he goes and hides, and she sneaks up to the tree, and a snake comes down and has a conversation. A snake. Now, if I see a snake, I'll back off. One starts talking, I'll crap myself. And the snake actually convinces her to eat the apple, and she eats the apple. And when she eats the apple, she learns shame. That's what happens when you eat apples. Now, she's not ashamed that she's disobeyed God or that she's eaten the apple. She's ashamed of one part of her body. That's all. She becomes ashamed of that area of the body. Now, why that area? Why not her elbow? Her nose. Do you actually realize that if Eve had been ashamed of her nose, every woman in the world now would be ashamed of your noses? You'd all be sitting here tonight with little nose knickers on. Men would be in nightclubs watching totally naked ladies with G-strings on the nose. Take them off. Oh, I saw a nose. Oh. And this is the book. This is the book that you'll go into court and place your hand upon. I'm scared to tell the truth, the whole truth, everybody.
The late Dave Allen, comedian from Dublin, Ireland. Here's clip number 2, talking about the Pope.
The Pope, discussing the existence of God with an out-and-out atheist, starts off very correctly, discussion, and as the hours go by, it gets more and more heated, and eventually the Pope turns to the man and he says, "The mom! Get the mom! And you, come here. You are like a man who is totally blindfolded in a dark room looking for a black cat that is not there. Oh, respect, Your Holiness. I think there's great similarity between us both." He said, "What do you mean, similarity?" He said, "Well, as far as I'm concerned, you're like a man who is blindfolded and looking for a black cat that isn't there. The only difference is that you found it."
I think maybe my favorite clip from Dave Allen is his introduction to God, courtesy of a Catholic nun.
I was educated by the Carmelite nuns.
Yeah.
The Gestapo in drag. I went to a school in a little village called Rathfarnham in County Dublin. My first day at school, this convent, long, winding driveway up to it. One of those Gothic doors, great studs in it. I rang the bell and opened. And there's one of these nuns, flapping. Terrifying. 3.5, 4 years of age. Terrifying. What do you want, little boy? Mommy and Daddy said I've got to come here. Yes? Well, if you come here, you've got to be a good little boy. Will you be a good little boy? And I could see past her. There's a fellow nailed to a cross. But you're bloody right, I'll be a good little... First question they ask, what do you know about God? I don't know anything about God. Who? God! Who's God? God? You do not know who God is? Sister? Sister, we have an atheist here. Let me tell you, little boy. God is, God was, and God always will be. What? What he is? What is that? He is the Holy Ghost. He is 3 in 1. You understand? I'm 4 years of age. Why wouldn't I? The greatest theological question in the world, 3 people in 1. And I'm naturally, yeah. Where is he? He is here. Well, I can't see him. That doesn't mean because you can't see him that he's not here. It doesn't? He's in the cupboard. He's not in the cupboard. God doesn't go into cupboards. He's under the stairs. He's on the stairs. He's upstairs. He's downstairs. He's outside. He's inside. He's everywhere. I think he's a big one. Why can't I see him? And asked him who love him. I don't know. I've never seen him. God loves you. Thank you. and he wants your love. But if you do not give him your love, he will cast you into everlasting flame. He will cast you into everlasting flame. Have you ever burnt yourself? I burnt myself on the candle. What was it like? Very sad, sore. Can you imagine that pain all over your body? That's what will happen to you if you do not love God. What do you think of that? I love him. I love him. Then I asked, who was the fellow on the cross? Jesus. Who's Jesus? He's the Son of God. I've told you. Father, the Son, and Holy Ghost. He's the Son of God. He was born on Christmas Day and died on Easter. He didn't hang around, did he? What happened to him? He died because of you. Christ died on the cross because of your sins. When was this? It was 2,000 years ago. They can't believe only 4 for Christ's sake. Did he have a daddy? Of course he had a daddy. I told you he had a daddy. God was his daddy. He had a mummy. Yes, he had a mummy. Mary was his mummy. So God was married to Mary. No, God was not married to Mary. Mary was married to Joseph. Shut up.
Oh my gosh, Dave Allen just cracks me up. Next up on my list of atheist comedians, this is from the HBO comedy special called We Are Miracle.
All right, we'll go back and listen to Kathleen's one in a minute. Chris, hello?
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Hey, what's going on,
You were
guys?
asking for the link and I didn't get it to you. I'm sorry.
It's okay, don't worry about it. I was hooting and hollering in the comment section. I don't know if you guys noticed that. I think what I've been kind of wanting to say, and kind of what I said is, just first of all, to answer the question directly, is I don't think anyone should be mocked for their religion per se, but I do think that if you're going to wrap mockable ideas in religion, then you're making your religion fair game. So if your bigotry or your closed-mindedness or your whatever, insert ism here, is based on your religion, then you're pulling that religion into the conversation. We're not going after it. Does that make sense? It's like, don't hide behind grandma and start swinging on people, because then grandma might get hit. Weird analogy. That's kind of how I think about it. You know what I mean?
Yes, I agree.
So if it's sacred ground, then don't bring it into the realm of scrutiny, right? The other point I think I'll make is, during my deconversion, mockery was what kind of it invited me to really look at some of my beliefs and think of the kind of the absurdity of it. I said in the comments, like, I remember I used to walk around with a lot of guilt that I was a sinner, that I was sinning. And it took some people outside of my belief system to say, do you really think that God created this entire universe, this reality has existed in time immemorial, and cares if you're touching yourself? Like, really, is that where you think he's putting his time and attention during wars and famine and kids dying of bone cancer? You think that pulling your blood is really creating this much chaos? And I laughed at the time because I realized how silly that sounded. So I do think there's also a function to that, especially when a person is beginning, and I forget who made the point, especially if that person's ripe for that, I do think it can serve a purpose. And I think it could be a useful purpose to get people to kind of rethink and reframe their, like I said, their sacred cows. Right? So I think mockery is a tool, but like any other tool, if it's used appropriately, fantastic, but it also could be weaponized. And that's when I say no. Hammers are for nails, not for heads. And women.
Yeah, you brought up the sacred cows. Seth Andrews has a book called Sacred Cows, where he goes into all those kind of like things and stuff. Like really good. Seth has some really good books for, like, if you're going through deconversion and stuff. He has some really good books.
I mean, I'll also make the real quick point. Like, I'm a nurse, and I've prayed with people. You know, I've had deep conversations with people where their faith or their hope that they're going to be reunited with their spouse or reunited with their parents or whomever was what made the dying process easier for them. And what type of monster would I be to look in their eyes and say, you're a fool or you're naive? You know what I mean? Obviously, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if they decided to say, well, I know my kid is going to go to hell because because they're gay or whatever the case may be, then I don't think I owe them the reverence to say, well, I guess this is what you believe, and then you have a right to believe it. I mean, of course they're going to anyway, but I think under those circumstances, because of the premise that they're causing harm, that's when it's hard for me to hold my tongue. And I think we sometimes give too much reverence to deeply held beliefs. That I think it goes back to what I was saying, and again, it was implied. It becomes the tolerance paradox, where we're so careful to not tread lightly that we allow bad things to go unchallenged. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about a while ago, is that in this society, with the constitutional protections that we have of freedom of religion, which I think freedom of thought is something that definitely cannot, I think that when we start trying to regulate people's thoughts, that we are crossing into a line that is very dangerous territory. But I do think that there is a lot of harm that we're allowing children to go through because we are just granting a pass to these ideals, and we're saying, well, that's their kids; they're allowed to raise them like they want to. And I don't know what the answer is, because I don't really, I don't think that necessarily we should go and tell people how to raise their children either. But I think that we do owe the children some sort of responsibility, you know what I mean? Because they are born and they can't help it where they're born. And so should we allow them to not get medical treatment, like vaccines and stuff that will save them from, like polio and measles and stuff? I mean, where do we draw that line? Where does it become something that should no longer be protected? And right now, with the way our Constitution is, and the way our government is currently, it's even becoming more protected. You know what I mean? That and there is no, there doesn't seem to be there's any guardrails on the amount of bad ideals that these people are allowed to propagate in their communities and put onto their children and stuff. And I'm beginning to get really worried about it, because it's risking the safety and the lives of these children. And I don't understand why. These are our children too. These are America's children. They're not property. I don't think of my kid. I never did think of my kids as property, and I think a lot of parents do, and I think that's really screwed up, because I feel like that we when you have children, you owe them a responsibility. Actually, you have a duty to them, not own them, but you have a responsibility for them, and I think that's the difference.
I mean, again, just not to monopolize this, but I wonder where that line is, because I remember when I was like 6 years old, honestly and truly thinking I was going to go to hell because I had sassed my mom. You know what I mean? And I walked around with a deep guilt, and I so I used to, as I was falling asleep, think about what it might feel like to have my skin burned off of me because I was mean to a classmate. So of course we say, well, that's just maybe your parents were trying to teach you morality or some rationalization or something like that. But I just wonder, that seems like it's in a gray area. But if my mom was beating me every day while quoting Bible verses, we would never say that was okay, right? So again, good question. Where is that line? But it just feels like in some circumstances, we don't hesitate to cross that line, if you will. And does it have to be physical abuse for it to count? You know what I mean? Does it have to be something as blatant as physical abuse or sexual abuse for us to say no, you don't have a right to impart that on your kids because of your silly beliefs or whatever you want to call it. Again, so maybe I'm just agreeing with you, but in a more kind of strong-handed way, where I don't tiptoe around that for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree. And I don't know why I brought it up like that, because I don't know. Because I am a person who's like, I'm a big person of the Constitution. And I believe in freedom of thought, and I believe in people's rights to actually believe things that they believe. I don't think that we can force belief on people. I think when we start doing that, we get into a really weird place with humans. I feel like that's been done before in some really bad ways. But and then I don't really like the idea of we should if you break up kids from their family, you're doing them a lot of harm. Even sometimes, even if they have parents who are teaching them sort of abusive ideals. So I don't know where that line is. I just think we need to start thinking about it though, because we seem to have just kind of just blowed off that conversation. I think as a country, as a nation. Like I hauled milk for the Amish and the Mennonites. Okay, the Amish children, they go to school 8 years. That's it. The girls are, it's very oppressive, and maybe a lot of them are happy with that. I'm sure, but I don't feel like that we can really know, what they would choose for themselves, because they're not given that option. And I don't know. It just always made me kind of feel bad that they would never have the chance to ever know if that's what the life they would choose, because it's a very hard life. And especially the girls, they never even get to experience the choice to make that choice. To choose that. I do think that anybody that wants to choose something like that should be allowed to, which is why I'm sort of like people mock feminism all the time, but I'm a feminist because in my definition of feminism, women and men are allowed to make the choice for themselves on that. There are some stronger versions of feminism that are more radicalized and more man-hating, and I'm not part of that. But it's all about the choice to me. Like, I think they should have the choice, but I also think that we need to start considering whether our children deserve the right to not be victims of their parents' bad beliefs.
I mean, I'll tell this quick story and then I'll let you guys kind of get back to what you were doing. But I'm a nurse, so I was in the room with an elderly patient who was very clearly multi-organ failure, and basically the family had come to basically say goodbye, and then they brought in their 6-year-old daughter with the old person's granddaughter, and they were saying, you need to pray. You need to pray for grandpa. Put your hands on grandpa. You want him to come home, right? And the girl's crying hysterical. They're like, you got to pray. Come on, let's all pray. Let's pray. She doesn't know what's going on. She has no idea. But they were putting this weight on her shoulders that if she prayed with her heart and soul, and she really, truly prayed that grandpa was going to come home. And I remember I had never been so infuriated than I was in that moment, because they were using her love for him in such an abusive and destructive way, because we all know that that's not how that works. You know what I mean? So again, I find it hard to hold my tongue when people say, well, that's just what they believed. Can you blame them for that? Because I just remember that look of terror and fear and confusion and guilt in that little girl's eyes, feeling like she literally was holding her grandfather's life in her hands, unless she prayed hard enough. And I don't know what happened when they went home and grandpa eventually died. I don't know what conversations they had, but I can almost guarantee she was racked with guilt because of the terms that they had created. You know what I mean? So again, I tell that story just to kind of put in the milieu that I'm not saying this because I'm an angry atheist. I'm saying this because I have seen and experienced the firsthand damage of something that we consider a person's right to believe what they're going to believe. Right? Again, I just put that in the milieu. Do with it what you see fit. You know?
Yeah, I agree, Chris. I like it's a like something we need to have more conversations about as a nation. We may not be able to come to an answer right away, but like it has to be something we start thinking about. Anybody else?
Well, I completely agree with that. I think that it's there are difficult conversations parents have got to have with their kids. Right, one of them is about sex. Right, we need better sex education, and that should be down to the parent. I think. Not to say that it shouldn't be done in schools, but that the parent should definitely be broaching the subject at the appropriate age with whatever they feel their children can deal with. Some children are advanced than others and need it earlier than others, and that should be why it's down to the parents. But they need to have those conversations in order to promote sensible practices and to avoid some of these later life phobias, or I don't know what the word is, kinks, come out of fear rather than desire. And the other one is, of course, death, right? The fear of death. I mean, that you've just got to broach the subject and get your child. I mean, I'm not saying it should be as young as the sex talk, but certainly, the child has got to understand that at some point, right, that they are in fact mortal. They themselves will die, and the people around them that are older will probably die before them. Those are very important questions and things to come to terms with before you get to the point of trying to give it excuses. That's why, and I honestly think that existential crisis is some of the worst kind of things you have to go through when you're going through puberty. And it's very difficult to do the both at the same time, right? So I don't know. I just feel quite strongly that parents have a much stronger role, or should have a much stronger role with their children, to educate them in such a way that they're prepared for the world.
I agree with that.
That means getting hold of some difficult topics early on, but they're the only ones that can judge the mental maturity of the child and when that should be approached. Right? So, and that's a difficult conversation.
Yeah, we see things different. Like we are, as atheists, we've talked with other atheists, and so that have been through this process. Of like a lot of atheists we know, were grown adults when they. I was 50 years old when I studied evolution, and came to understand that that we evolved, and even though I wasn't all that attached at that time to the notion of creationism, because I wasn't in Christianity anymore, it was still, somewhat of a eye-opening thing to be like, oh, and I wasn't ever even taught this in school. Was never even taught this, and it should have been taught this because it's been like it's been supposed to have been in our curriculum for several years. And so I should have learned it, and I didn't. And I kind of feel like that I was somewhat cheated of information that I should have maybe had. Maybe I would have became a biologist, if because I have a lot of interest in some of these subjects now that I didn't have before. I don't know. It may have changed my life, but I think that it helped me understand a lot about vaccines. It helped me understand a lot about about homosexuality and trans people, and it made me have a whole different view on biological questions that we face in society. And I think that we definitely, like me growing up and not accepting evolution was just like, it's dangerous. Like, I think that it's dangerous where we're trying to go back to a time when we knew way less than we do now, and I don't like that idea at all. But
I think that what we see here is, I think that progress, unfortunately, it moves very slowly. It's like, what do they say? 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Well, ultimately, you made one step of progress in that, right? And this is what we see happening. And I do see, having lived a half a century myself, I do see that we are actually making progress towards humanism. If we really study history since what we would call the Enlightenment, right? We can actually look at this kind of shift. We saw big things like the abolition of slavery. Now there's still slavery being practiced all over the world, but it is a true fact that it is illegal in every single country, which is obviously major progress, right? So we are slowly working towards this. Which I think is why it's really important to pick our strategies very carefully of how we're addressing these problems, because I think we all agree that these are problems. But so if I focus on positive reinforcement, because I've found in psychology, I think positive reinforcement actually works much better when you're looking for long-term changes. Short-term changes, it's kind of maybe a 50-50, but when you're looking for long-term changes, positive reinforcement is much better, much more effective than negative reinforcement, right? So we need to reassess how we are handling our justice system. We need to start looking at rehabilitation, and that comes through education. And I think the same thing with this religion, to get people to step away from these harmful religious beliefs isn't so much saying, hey, get rid of religion because religion is bad. I think if we focus more on like, okay, let's focus on science, because as science and technology evolve, it gives people something that we apply in the world that we live in on a daily basis that's hard for them to ignore. The other thing is on ethics. If we could start focusing on the ethics, like this humanist idea where we're all equal, right, in equality, and those two things, people can start to shed themselves of the most harmful parts of religion first. And then whatever they hold on to after that, whatever small parts they might want to hold on to, may not be that big of a deal. Like I think Robin and I have talked about how, progressive Christianity is growing very quickly, at least here in the US. And I actually see the same thing, believe it or not. I have friends in the Middle East, and I see the same thing happening in Islam. There's actually a progressive type of Islam, believe it or not, that people are there are groups of people that are kind of moving towards. And it's this idea that, you don't want to get rid of all the parts of religion, because like we talked about before, there's so much of your culture and your community and your identity is tied to this. But you're willing to say, hey, you know what, maybe we can embrace certain aspects of a more progressive mindset. And when it comes to progressive Christianity, for example, here in the US, they're very supportive of the LGBTQ community, right? They're very supportive of women's rights, so on and so forth. They believe in evolution. They understand that. They believe in the old earth type of an idea. So it's a big jump from what you get from traditional orthodoxy and stuff like that from religion, young earth creationism. It's certainly removed from that. And so at some point, if we say, if you shed yourself of the bigotry and you shed yourself from the indoctrinating children into believing or denying science, then whatever they're holding on to after that, is it even harmful at that point? Does it even matter if somebody wants to believe that there's an afterlife? Who fucking cares? In my opinion, you know what I mean? Like let them hold on to that belief if it makes going through life a little easier for them. So that's what I would say, is focusing on those issues and let the rest of it take care of itself.
Yeah, Gretchen, did you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of agree with that. I mean, I'm cool if you want to teach your kids whatever the hell you want, but the problem I see is that over the last 2 to 3 decades, we've been giving the religious groups, the evangelicals and all that, more and more political power with more and more, tax breaks and all that. And they're just getting more powerful. So these kids that are being brought up in this, now they're all running for office and winning, by the way. And it's just becoming a bigger and bigger problem.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's beginning to be an issue that, like I said, the 3 Abrahamic religions are over there at war right now, and like all 3 of the leaders of those countries likely believe that the end times are something that is supposed to happen to our planet, and that they're fighting like a holy war for their God, and that God is on their side, and not the other side, and the other side thinks the same thing.
See, I don't actually believe that. I don't think Iran is fighting a war over, their religion.
Well, I know, they did, like when Hezbollah or Hamas is a terrorist group, that they're killing killing Jews because that's their. I mean, like I can't take like the Palestinians, and Iran is not, like Iran's not necessarily wasn't anything to do with Palestine. But I just think though that a lot of the issues that have crept up in all of these areas are religious, some sort of religious base. Like I think that we are doing some shit with, like, we did mess with their economy and stuff, but I still think that one of the reasons why that we have not ever really made allies with them is because of the religious differences. We think ourselves as a Christian country. A lot of them do, and we tend not to ally with people that are Muslim countries for some reason.
See, that's the thing, is that Iran actually does have quite a bit to do with Palestine, because and people, we've been taught for decades that it's because they hate Jews, right? It's because they want the annihilation of Israel, because they're anti-Semitic. The problem is that there are millions of Jews inside Iran. There are Persian Jews. I have a friend who I ran his city council campaign. He is a Persian Jew. His whole family is. And Iran doesn't have a problem with them, but they're not the Zionist ones that are, kicking Palestinians out of their homes just so they can take the territory. I mean,
Okay,
Iran.
There's a couple of things here which I just have to mention quickly.
Yeah, go ahead.
So there's a couple of different sects, right? I mean, Islam is not as straightforward as you might think.
Right, but the Sunni and yeah.
Yeah, so there's two basic sects which are anti-Semitic in Islam, and it's clear that from their interpretation of the Quran, where it says, at the end times, even the rock that the Jew hides behind will shout out, "He's behind me," and kill them all.
Yes.
So there are some very anti-Semitic statements, interpretations of the Quran that can be made, but they tend not to be they tend to be Shia based or Wahhabi based. And then the second thing is that, of course, the wars that Iran has been involved in my lifetime have all been theocratic wars, because they're a theocratic state, at least since 1979. So, they went to war with Iraq because it was Shia versus Sunni. And, the things that were done in that war were absolutely horrendous. And then, with Hezbollah, they're fairly, they didn't have power until they started getting funded by Iran. So I'll agree with you there. However, they're definitely anti-Semitic, of course. They've said they want to wipe Israel off the map, and they want to genocide the Israelis. And Iran
The
is
Israelis, not the Jews.
Oh, the Jews, yeah. The Jews, yeah.
Yeah. But they say from river to the sea means that means the total annihilation of Israel.
Like I'm saying, they can be, Islam also has, this is the contradictory thing, right? Islam has, as long as they pay the jizya, right, then people of the book can be left alone, but they have to submit themselves to Islam or at least to Allah.
Yeah.
So they can still hold on to their beliefs, but they have to acknowledge that Allah is the one true God. I mean,
and they see
give yourselves a contradiction, and there you go, right? As long as you pay tax, we'll let you get on with your shit, but you understand that you're living in a Muslim country, and Allah is great,
Yeah, people of the book are protected.
They do understand that, but by that same token, you could say that we live in a Christian theocracy.
Not the same way, no, because they have
not yet.
No,
Not
agreed, not yet. But since 1979, they've had the head of their state is a religious leader. It's literally a theocracy, in the full sense of the word. That's not been the case in the United States yet, fortunately. Although maybe in all but name, I would grant you that maybe the Christian lobby is so strong in your country that your politicians bend to the will, right, of the money. But I don't know. But I'm just saying that Iran is a particular case.
That's why
right?
atheists can't get elected in this country.
Yeah, I mean, remember, at least I remember, there was a film out with that a Dutch guy made, and he was literally, killed in the streets of Amsterdam because he criticized, Islam and the teachings of Islam. There's a guy in our country that was given $1 million assassination bounty. Right, this is all by Iran, by the way.
Wasn't he shot eventually? What about
No,
the what
no,
about
it
the
just
guy
cost
that did the drawings? He draw the picture of Muhammad, and they
Yeah,
ended up shooting him. It didn't kill him, right? But
I don't
did
know
end
whether
up-
they killed him. I think you're talking about Charlie Hebdo,
no, that's
the magazine
That was
that
France.
published pictures of old depictions, cartoons of Muhammad, and they were obviously attacked by a group of people with AK-47s, and people were killed in the streets of France.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah. I'm thinking about something else. There
was another one. It was either in Denmark or the Netherlands, but yeah.
Yeah,
There
there
was
was a
one
guy
in the Netherlands where
there was a guy that wrote a
Yeah.
Saddam Rushdie, or what was his name?
he wrote the book. Yeah, he wrote the book
and
depicting
yeah, and
Aisha as a prostitute. Yeah.
Yeah, they ended up coming after him too.
Well, they
'cause
tried
you're not
to,
allowed-
yeah, but the British government paid for his security, and he went into hiding.
I thought he got stabbed though. Eventually.
Yeah, he did recently.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. They eventually caught up with him and stabbed him. It didn't kill him, but he did get attacked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just goes to show you. But at the time, as I say, the leader of Iran put $1 million price tag on his head and said, "Anyone that kills him will pay you $1 million." Say that to 1.8 billion people.
Yeah. There's a whole lot of issues on all sides of it. We are not innocent in it. We have been over there and we have messed with Iran's stability and a whole bunch of the countries
sure.
in the Middle East.
Sure,
And,
that's because you're allies of Iraq, though. And in 1983, Iran invaded Iraq.
Yeah, and it's all pretty much our whole endeavor in it is like oil based to where whatever benefits us the best. And I love my country, but I admit the things we've done wrong because in our own things that benefit us, we often do not actually consider. We kind of act like that we have the right to go and do these things if it benefits us in some way. Like we only see what benefits us, and we don't worry about
meddle.
Yeah, we don't
We're meddlers.
We don't worry about the region or the people of the communities or in the areas that we are messing with. In South America, we have destabilized many different governments over the years trying to fight off communism and socialism. And impoverish these people in a way, or put evil leaders over them, and now they're fleeing them, and then we're denying them entry into the country but we're the ones that put their whole system of life in danger. So it's really kind of
as well as benefiting from smuggling drugs, of course.
Yes.
That's another story. That's another story.
Yeah.
But anyway, the main point I'm making here is that I don't know of a non-religious war that Iran's been involved in. Every war that Iran's had in the last 70 years has been a religious war.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing this one is too, because it's against Israel.
Listen, I'm far from an apologetic when it comes to Iran and and Islam and stuff. But I could also tell you, like, as a New Yorker, after 9/11, there was a lot of people who saw the war as a holy war, as an extension of an us versus them. I remember there was literally a pastor who he stood in front of the incidental cross, and in the record, where they eventually turned that kind of crossbeam into a cross, and he was basically saying, "Our God is mightier, and we're going to show them finally once and for all." And this was a pastor giving a sermon about why we were called upon God to kind of once again show them whose God was mightier. So again, maybe we don't put it on the official decree, but it's definitely a motivating rallying cry.
Well, that just goes to show the ignorance, really,
Right,
of that situation. Because, of course, the person that instantiated and financed that
Right.
9/11 was Saudi Arabian,
Right.
right? But of course,
Mhm.
there's no way you're going to attack Saudi Arabia because they're your best allies, because
Right.
they're a
Right.
monarchy,
Yeah,
right?
well, we actually had the
Even
prince.
though, hang on,
Yeah, we had the
even
prince at
hang on,
the
hang
White
on,
House.
hang on. Even though they have probably one of the worst theocratic states, right, going, right? They're Wahhabis, right? So they definitely are anti-Semitic. They definitely want to kill all people who are not Muslims. Either convert to Muslim or you die, right?
Yeah.
That's their opinion, right? And the only thing that's holding them back is they don't have the religious leader that Iran has, right? They have a monarchy which is completely corrupt. So have at it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like we had Trump had the prince, the crown prince of Saudi in the White
Yeah,
House.
yeah,
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 and
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
The
like this,
Queen are good friends with them.
and
The
not
royal
only
family,
did
good friends
yeah,
with the Saudis.
not only did the Saudis fund the 9/11 attack, stuff, they also
Well, you have to be a little more specific. It wasn't the
well,
Saudi royal family; it was the black sheep of the Saudi royal family.
yeah, but they also
Right.
the current reigning prince or whatever is the one that cut up an American reporter and put it in pieces. But we when they asked about it, there was a reporter that mentioned it. Trump said, "Oh, don't insult our guests." And I remember that during his first term, when he had the meeting with the with Taliban or whatever there before, he actually invited them to come to Camp David.
David on September 11th.
And and fortunately at that time we had some adults that were in our that were in the administration that said you can't bring the Taliban to Camp David. You cannot bring the Taliban onto American soil. That you
Full
just
stop. Yeah.
yeah. But Trump thought this was a good idea. You know what I mean? Like and so like right now with the world with these three Abrahamic religions fighting each other, the last person we need in charge of the biggest store of nuclear weapons that is in the world is an idiot like Trump. Like it's just like it's like playing Russian roulette with our whole future. I think so.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that religion is why Trump isn't where he is. I mean, like I know all religious people did not vote for Trump, but I think that was a huge part of his base, and so yeah, I think that they are a lot to blame for us ending up with this man as our leader.
Yeah,
okay.
That may be as much as the case. But I do think that oil, if oil is more important to America than Israel.
Mm.
So at the end of the day, as much as Trump has invaded Iran for semi-religious reasons, right? I.e., Jews want to stop the financing of Hamas.
What semi-religious regions?
Well, the Jews Israel is financing. Iran is financing Hamas, right? Since Iraq stopped doing it, they then turned to Iran.
But that's not why we invaded Iran.
Oh, really? Okay.
Really?
Go ahead. Tell me why.
We
then.
invaded Iran because it's the war that Netanyahu's been trying to get us to join for the last 15 years.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah.
But that's not it's not religious. No, it's not. Just because it's a theocracy doesn't make it a religious war.
Oh, I didn't say that.
It's over fucking territory. That's all it is. The settlers just keep wanting more and more territory.
Mm-hmm. That's the religious war that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Conquering territory isn't religion.
I think Simon that the foundation of this is at the root of this problem to begin with.
It is if it's done by Zionists. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the root of the problem is that in 1946 or whatever we decided to put a country where there was already a fucking country.
Well, there wasn't, but like I would like
You
to say,
know?
there wasn't actually a country called Palestine. I'm going to say that, but like I don't know, like we can't really do anything about what they did in 1948, and
No,
like
we can't.
6 million Jews were killed, and that was pretty much for religious reasons. I mean, like
Well, Aryan reasons, yeah.
Well, I know, but like if you look down to like a whole lot of it was, because there's a certain, because of the rhetoric that was spread about the Jews, about killing Jesus and stuff, is why a lot of the citizens of Germany went along with this. You know what I mean? Like it all boils down to some religion being in it.
No, I don't think so in that case, because
I do.
I think it's because of the unique situation that the Jews had in European history since the 1300s, and certainly in the late 19th century, anti-Semitism was rising because of the wealth which the Jews have been granted due to their specific status as non-Christians. But that's all by the by, I think, right?
Yeah.
I think that those are two totally different things. It's the guilt of the Europeans that allowed it to happen, that created the problem in the Middle East in the sense of recreating the Jewish state. And I think that's that could have been done and was talked about being done in a different way, but under the insistence of particular Jewish people and Zionists in particular, or what became Zionist. That was done. They wanted Jerusalem, right? Particularly, so it had to be Jerusalem. And I think the European powers and US, including the UN in general, or League of Nations, I think it might have been, specifically, said, right, well, we can do that. I mean, as Britain, we were like owners. That was in our empire, and we had it in our decree to be able to do that, despite the fact we'd promised the Arabs. And this is where the controversy really comes about. We'd promised the Arabs national, their own nationalization and national states would be given to them after the Second World War, and then we went back on it. So there was a betrayal by the British Empire on the Arabs, and I think that's why the Palestinians hung on so desperately, because they're the tribes that were promised that land. It's that simple as far as I can see. And then once they'd been denied that by a deal with France that the British Empire made, then they started rebelling again. Obviously, they were rebelling before the Second World War and asking for their own states, and the British Empire denied them, and so they did it just after the Second World War, having made agreement to fight Nazis.
And like Robin said, there's nothing we can do about what they did in the 1940s, or but we've had plenty of agreements back then or since then. And I mean, who's the one that keeps going back on the deals? I mean, if you actually look, it's Israel.
Well, the United States is really bad at keeping their word too. I will say that.
Yeah, we suck, but not to Israel though. We back them no matter what the fuck they do. We give them billions so they can use our money and get their free health care, and then talk us into wars that we can't really afford to fight.
Yeah, there's some more to it. Let me just say the extra bit there.
Of course, there's more to it.
Yeah, of course, but let me just say the little bit extra, right? Which is there have been many peace proposals over the years, certainly of my lifetime, to do with Palestine and Israel, and they almost came to an agreement in the 80s. The problem is that every time there's a UN resolution made about it, the US always votes on the side of Israel and opposes any kind of deal to be made.
Yeah.
Right? So there's statutory law that was trying to be passed in order to resolve the situation and make it two-state solution, but there's US has a mandatory veto.
Yeah, the veto.
Right? And they've always used it to deny the Palestinians a state.
Yeah, yeah, they have, and they also like Trump had like going in there while he was president the first time and giving Jerusalem, making Jerusalem the capital of Israel. You know, at a time when that was not like there was a different situation going on there, and you know, like we like these people, no matter which side they're on, especially the Islamists and they really don't see us as having any authority to be involved in making those decisions. And I think that we kind of put ourselves in a place where we think we are the police of the world, and we're not. We haven't always done a very good job of policing even ourselves. So I don't know.
I'll say just to kind of bring the lens back a little bit. I think since I'd say the late '70s, early '80s, I think there was this kind of cultural, like we hear about the what are they called, the dominionists, right? I think they learned how to tap into the religious fervor, or the kind of the same chemistry, the same mechanisms, or the same kind of sociological or psychological mechanisms that lead people towards like dogmatic religion. I think they learned how to tap that vein and make it political, to remove
Yes.
that
Oh, they absolutely
language in those
did.
things. So I would say
That's
that
how
we,
that's how
yeah.
in the early 2000s we were all sitting here saying, "Oh, they hate us for our freedom." They
Right,
don't
right.
fucking hate us for our
Yeah.
freedom.
But you know
They
that
hate us
kind of,
because we get involved in shit we don't belong getting involved in.
right, of course. But what I'm saying is that, but I think that long before Trump, long before 9/11, these seeds were being planted, and we were learning. And then also, call me a conspiracy theorist, I also think we started to kind of defund some of our educational systems, so that some of these kind of dense geopolitical conversations that we're having today are not being had at the typical American kitchen table, right? So I think they're able to kind of cut through some of that density a little bit and make it simplistic, make it black and white, make it good versus evil, make it God versus God. So to a point where now that, a lot of times we bemoan how our politics have not be or not about, it's not based on like the Socratic method, like it's not a meritocracy anymore. Now it really is what jersey you wear. And we've turned it into a spectator sport where it's us versus them. And again, this sounds like overly simplistic, cliche criticism, but there's a lot of truth to it, that we've turned our politics, we've turned war, we've turned, our economies into a land grab, and we've kind of turned it into kind of like, well, what do you believe in your heart of hearts? What does your gut tell you is right and wrong? And then we just kind of lock in and we just hit all gas, no brakes, and that's the jersey you wear. And even if
that's a double-edged sword.
Right, of course.
I mean,
I would say both of us
it's
play that
easy
game,
it's easy to invoke,
right,
religious ideology to just basically boil politics down to talking points, because politics, especially geopolitics, it's so huge and convoluted that most people, they just don't even know. So it's easier to just digest a quick talking point off of Fox News and then just make that part of your opinion.
But
it does have a lot to do with the lack of education.
But I also think it's dangerous how I've had conversations with people, and they can go at lengths about what Bush did and what Trump did and whatever, but they have a complete blind spot to what, let's say, Clinton and Obama did, right? Simply because of that tribalism, simply because they think it's good versus bad, white hats versus black hats. You know what I mean? And that's the danger.
Well, the left isn't immune to that. They're just as there's just as emotionally driven idiots on the left as on the right.
I think we've been a while since we've had a president that didn't commit war crimes, actually.
Right.
Well, with the biggest military in the world by such a margin, I mean, let's face it, I'm not surprised. Not that the British Empire didn't commit enough war crimes in its time.
They did. Yeah, they did. And Chris, I think you hit on something right there that is like that is one of the main problems is black and white thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is good or evil. There's a right and a wrong, and and this is and I think that there is very few actual instances in our history of the world where there was a clear cut black and white position that was correct. There is always nuance, and we as Americans are not aware of a lot of the nuance that is going on in the other countries. I mean,
Right.
we
Look at that immigration discussion we have with tacos. There's a
Yeah.
lot he just does not fucking get, so he takes an easy position.
Yeah.
And
so, I think that we don't get, and when we get into thinking that problems are black and white, and that we are certain that we are on the right side of it, and that there is a good side and there is an evil side, then I think that's when we get into like Samo says, dogmatic thinking, and we become unreasonable with our ideals and the way we look at things and the way we try to handle it. So
Yeah. Again, that's what Stephen Weinberg's quote once again. To get a good man to do an evil thing takes religion. I think Israel is very guilty of that, because it's not because people in that country are particularly religious, because I still think that most Jewish people are atheists, but because the government is not controlled but influenced to the point where they can only get a government majority with the help of very fundamentalist religious people, and that's a problem, right?
All right, well, we're going to watch the last, take it to a lighter note. We'll watch Kathleen Madigan. She's got the last skit, and then I'll probably just come back and let everybody say their last things, and then we'll shut it down. But we're gonna listen to Kathleen. She's pretty funny. Wait a minute, I messed up here.
I just want to thank everybody on the panel for a really interesting discussion and an open-minded one. This is such a hard topic to talk about. It really is.
that's true. I agree.
Almost always from a critical eye, from the skeptical eye. She's got an album called Bothering Jesus, and the clip just made me laugh. Here it is.
If I had kids, I would make them go to a Catholic school, because I'll tell you what, the one thing I guarantee you, if you send your kids to a Catholic school, they will never join ISIS. Somebody would have said to me at age 18, after all that Catholicism, hey, can we talk to you about our religion for a minute? No, you may not. You are 18 years late to this party, Muhammad. I think being Catholic is Christian, but it is pointed out to me many times in the South that they're not the same. Because in the South, they'll go, oh, are you Christian? I go, yeah, I'm Catholic. Oh, well, we're Christian. We said the same thing, but I guess not. There are differences. The Christians have a direct relationship with Jesus, and they speak of it like that. You know what? Me and my relationship with Jesus, I love Jesus, Jesus loves me. It's a direct, very solid relationship with Jesus. And I thought, wow, really? You guys go straight to Jesus. In a Catholic school, I was given a laundry list of people to contact before the nun said, because otherwise I'm bothering Jesus. You are going to call these people, Kathleen, before you bother Jesus. You can start with your guardian angel. He's got nothing to do 24 hours a day except tend to your needs. If he's not available, you can speak to the saint in charge of the activity you're upset about. Every single saint has been assigned an assignment. You can speak to Jesus' mother if you'd like to. You can give Mary a shout, but you are not to bother. Okie dokie. Even if I did something bad, I couldn't tell Jesus. I had to go to confession. I had to get in a creepy closet with a guy in the dark, and then I had to tell him that he's going to tell a guy. And I wasn't good at confession because my dad for many years was a defense attorney, and starting in second grade, he would tell us all at the dinner table, I want all of you kids to remember, if the police capture you or anyone in a position of authority asks you questions, your response, no matter what, are, I do not recall, I need an attorney. I do not recall, I need an attorney. 90% of people are in prison because they can't keep their mouths shut. Never, ever snitch on yourself. And then I would go to confession in the closet, and the priest would go, Kathleen, have you done anything bad? Is there anything you'd like to tell me about? I'm not falling for this. My dad's probably planted him here. I know what I'm supposed to say. I'm sorry, Father, but I do not recall, and I need an attorney.
Funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like the laundry list of people to call. I think that's really funny.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Lena, I hope Lena's, if she's still in chat, I hope she appreciated that when she's Catholic. And I know that she said that sometimes she likes to laugh at a little bit of that. So I thought that was funny. And we do see a lot of the. I do see a lot. I hang out with a lot of Christians. Of course, I'm friends with Proverbs guys. I'm a mod over there, so I am over there. I don't mock them. And because I am good friends with them, and I've made friends with a lot of people in that community, and I do see a lot of them though that they don't think like there's a lot of them that say the Catholics are not Christians, and I don't understand that at all because I think they were probably the only Christians for like 1,300 years or so. So like
maybe not, but yeah.
Yeah, so it was funny. Yeah, okay, it was funny. Thank you, Lena. I kind of thought it wasn't too bad. She's still, I think Kathleen is not an atheist actually. Anyway, so that's one. She is still probably a believer, but she does mock her religion. But I like the part when she says, "You're 18 years too late to this party, Muhammad." I think it was funny. But
I think she considers herself just like a lapsed Catholic.
Yeah, she drinks a lot. She's a very heavy drinker. Kathleen is. I like watching her. She's pretty funny.
Yeah,
she's very heavy drinker.
She's a good Catholic then.
Yeah, well, she's very. See, I was raised Baptist. We weren't allowed to dance or drink, and so like I remember we had our 10-year school reunion at a Catholic church, and like everybody had beer in there, and I was like, okay, we brought because everybody was like, did you not bring beer? And I was like, to church. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that I thought that was so funny because everybody had coolers full of beer, and like I would never have thought we were allowed to bring beer to church. I was wondering why we were having our reunion at a church, but I guess, and I do appreciate my progressive Christian friends. I want to say that like there's a lot of differences. Like I know y'all know I'm friends with Jay Bundy. And Jay Bundy is very extreme on this. He thinks that Christianity has got to go away, and he kind of gives me shit over, praising progressive Christians when they have, you know what I mean? But I think that there's not enough non-believers to actually take over power and instill. And so I believe that we have to have allies, and I believe that I ally with people who have less worse ideals than the others. So,
yeah, I think a point I made in talking to Robert recently, can't remember when, and I think this is quite key. We were talking about the anti-modological argument, right? And sorry, Gretchen, to be philosophical, but
I'll survive.
Okay, thank you. And this is something that Tacos uses all the time, right? And I decry the use of this from the atheist position.
The RMOA, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just so self-destructive. Mainly because I think keeping the dialogue open is what is going to win the war in the long run. And shutting the dialogue down is just super destructive for the future of atheism. We are already such a minority in the world that I don't think A, it's practical or utilitarian to do that, and then B, I also think that in order to try to espouse the things that atheism does so well since the Enlightenment anyway, or no, let's not say atheism, let's just say humanism, because I respect OE so much. Even though humanism started as a Christian thing, I think since the Enlightenment it's flown above its humble beginnings, and as a result I think that we need to keep the dialogue open in order to express that even Christians can be humanists. It's not a religious thing, and in fact those open views about how we should treat one another in the world are what's most important. And I think when you use arguments designed just to shut down conversation and decrease or increase the black and whiteness, right, between the different groups in the great debate community, you're doing nobody any favors, neither the theist nor the atheist. So I'm strongly against using those kind of tactics to try and debate with people. I'm happy to use ridicule and etc., but I'm just not happy to say, no, you do not have a say, right? If I ridicule you, yeah, ridicule me back, that's fine. That's fine. If I've got bad ideas, make fun of them, make fun of me, that's fine. I need to be open to learning. Yeah, being open is the important point. So I just wish people, anybody that's listening to this, can openly think about that proposition and say, I agree with that. And when I hear an atheist doing it, I'm going to shut them down, or at least say, I think that's a bad idea to make that argument. It's clearly fallacious. And all you're doing really is just, driving the theist away from talking to the atheist. And that's not good for anybody.
Okay. Priest, you want to start? You got anything coming up? Anything like final words?
What?
You're muted.
Hey, can you hear me now?
There you go.
Yeah. Here you now.
Yeah. So yeah, I have nothing going on. I just lurk and hang out with cool people. So I really have nothing to plug, nothing to push. And just I guess I'll just leave it at this. And I've said it many times. I will support pro-human religiosity over kind of misanthropic atheism any day of the week. Because for me, it's really about the end result. Like, what are you doing with that ism, or what are you doing with that belief system, and is it improving the lives of the people around you? So whatever rationale you have to give to be a better person, whatever sources you need to tap into to make you strong in the faces of challenges, I will never shame, never judge, and never question those things. But if what you're doing is destructive or harmful or making you a less good person, I don't care what ism you call it, I'm going to come for it and ask those questions. So for me, I don't wear the jersey. I really am just pushing towards what I would consider like a best case scenario for everyone involved. And that's really the position I always take, philosophically, theologically, metaphysically, whatever. It's, are you a good neighbor? And I'm glad you got there, however you got there. Right.
Exactly. Great, Gretchen. And plug your channel. I think I made you a mod, so if you can stick it in your channel in chat,
I think you did.
That'd be great. And y'all can go check out Gretchen. She's like, I was supposed to be helping her. We were going to do some call in or whatever, but I couldn't get on there the other day. But anyway, we'll get it figured out one of these days, I think. But,
yeah, we'll have to figure that out. Couldn't be that hard. Hizzle did it.
Just yeah, Hizzle. Yeah, Hizzle is a computer person though. I'm a boomer. So yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't. Other than just the async channel, I'm just building that. I've got Neck2 and Arpy are gonna start a new show real soon here too on the async channel. So hopefully, and I got Golden Arm coming on. You can tear him apart for a few hours. Yeah, on async. That's gonna be fun.
You did good with the freak, I thought. Yeah.
Did I? Oh, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought you did. Well, Owie, what about you?
Yeah, my name is Daniel Leroy. I run a channel called @ObjectiveEthics on YouTube, and I'm just a small channel, just trying to do my part to spread awareness about empathy and what I consider to be a better moral principle, which is objective morality. It's a very basic concept that we all want to live a good life. Every single one of us, every living organism wants to live a good life. And I think there's a lot of confusion as to what it takes to live this good life. And it taps into politics, which you heard tonight, religion, so on and so forth, culture, identities, things of that nature. But at the end of the day, what we really need for living this good life is to attain self-respect. And if we don't have self-respect, we cannot have a good life, right? And to attain self-respect, you have to be able to respect other people. You have to have an honest introspection, be able to be critical when you think about yourself and your ideas and your actions, and judge things fairly. So you could build this principle up, and it becomes a fairly clear path as to how to attain the good life that I know that each and every one of you wants to live. I want to live a good life. You want to live a good life. So strive for self-respect, strive for the virtues, and you'll get that good life that you want. I really appreciate Robin having me up here. It's been such a pleasure to share time with all of you people. You're very well spoken. Learned a lot from just sitting here listening to you, and really enjoyed the conversation. And thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for coming, OE. And OE has a debate with one of our favorite theists, Jill, May 18th. It'll be at 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern, and it'll be on my channel, and then OE's and maybe Jill's channel. I don't know. Jill hadn't decided if he's going to stream it to his, but so y'all be sure and come and watch that. To be interesting at the least.
Guaranteed he won't stream it, but he will take a copy of it and then chop it to hell.
That's okay. He can do whatever he wants. Like
I'm
not going to get upset over what Jill does.
Speaking of people that deserve mockery, that's one of them.
Yeah, but okay, Simos. We thought we'd got him to 500 subs, but they took.
Not unfortunately not. Let me just make a check here. 489. So
okay, so we need 11 again. So because we had me and Phantom went and subbed with all our sock counts, and they took it away. So, but we will get him there in just a few days. I promise.
Yeah, it's no problem really. I'm not looking. I'm not going to monetize my channel anyway. So, but anyway, there you go. It's nice to just finally make some progress, and you've really helped me do that. So, thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome. And you want to say anything else? You got your show tomorrow or what?
No. I mean, I may do another. I think I'm going to be on Chris's The Other Hood and the Race and IQ debunking channel, and please come and join us or come into the chat. If you come into the chat, please ask questions. I'd love to see you there, OE. I think you might have some good contributions to make.
Appreciate the kind words. Thank you, brother.
But it's as I say, it's about.
Post your link in the chat.
Yes.
You want to right now, but I'll try to put it in the description.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Let me just find it. But yeah, please come by and have a look at that. That would be really good. I think it's an important subject which needs to be tackled in America right now, especially with the politics the way they are.
It's called The Other Hood.
It's called The Other Hood, and it's about finding out or finding receipts, the truth about, in this case, Christian nationalism, and especially ethno-nationalism, and its roots and its funding. So that's what we try and concentrate on. And at the moment, we've been doing the bell curve for quite a while now, and there'll be another chapter on that, debunking that book, which I think is basically the support that many of the Christian nationalist channels use to sell that their views are scientific, which they're clearly not.
Yeah, the meritocracy. Tonight they were focusing on the meritocracy, which is something that why we ended up with somebody like Pete Hegseth running our Department of Defense or whatever they call it nowadays. But who is definitely not the most qualified. And then of course, I hate that he was killed, but like Charlie Kirk pushed a lot of these ideals too. He pushed a lot of this. If I saw a black man as a pilot on my plane, I would be concerned, and that kind of stuff right there. And questioned Justice Jackson, who is by far, with her credentials, the most qualified probably justice on our Supreme Court. She's definitely more qualified than many of the justices that are on there. There may be some that are as qualified as hers, but she is definitely more qualified than several of them. And then of course probably Kamala, the presidential election. There was a lot of people that did not, that didn't vote because of that sort of thing right there. Like that she was a DEI candidate or something like that, which was just absolute nonsense. The woman was a district attorney. She was the major attorney there for the state of California. She was a senator and a vice president. So I would say that she was more qualified than probably any president we've had in a very long time, actually, as far as doing different jobs, working in the public sector and the government and stuff. So just the idea.
But she had an annoying laugh. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
she had an annoying laugh, yes. So
also, just to point this out, the reason Kirk said that was because of DEI, right? But it simply is a logical fallacy to say that just because somebody is a DEI pick, that they're necessarily inferior to anybody else. In fact, it's quite the opposite in some respects, because they've been given the chance to qualify, that they do qualify. Right? That's just how that works, right? So they assume that because it's DEI that they're inferior. That's a logical fallacy, and it's just not true.
Well, I think Kurt pushed a lot of fallacies.
I think he was hiding. Obviously, he was hiding, and his money did come through some dodgy funding committees as well, right?
Although I will say though that I do think it was horrible that he died. I'm not saying that I'm glad he's dead. I think it was terrible that his kids and his wife had to be there and watch that, and the whole. Yeah, so I think it was tragic, but I think I would love for him to have had a chance to have corrected his views. I'm not sure that he ever would have, but it would have been nice for him to have corrected, because I think that he espoused some really bad ideals and had a great following, of people that were repeating stuff that was very damaging to other people with the trans, the anti-trans stuff that he pushed and things and just let me say, anyone who's over here right now, this is a LGBTQ friendly channel. I have trans friends I love very much. I understand the biology of their situation, and I totally support them, and I totally support gay people, and I totally support women. It's right to control their own bodies. And so maybe if you don't like those ideals, you may not find this a great place to hang out all the time. And thank y'all for coming. Y'all, this is a great panel. I just feel with BS, it was nice to have him on too. And who else? And Big Bad Mama. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. And I love y'all. And be kind to people. That's all I got to say. Thanks.
All right, thanks for